Come on in. Okay.
Peace. Peace, peace.
Come on in. Okay.
How you doing, sis? You here for the pictures?
Yeah.
All right. Cheers. No worries. Peace, Mars. No. Let's start it up. It's all right. Face the east, 5 on the left, 2 on the right. Allah, Father of the universe.
Allah, Father of the universe.
Father of love.
Father of love.
Truth.
Truth.
Peace.
Peace.
Freedom.
Freedom.
And justice.
And justice.
Allah is my protector.
Allah is my protector.
My guide.
My guide.
And my salvation.
And my salvation.
By night.
By night.
And by day.
And by day.
To his holy prophet.
His holy prophet.
Noble Juali.
Noble
Islam. My readings we read every meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must end all radical, agitating speeches while at work, in their homes, or on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings toward the temple or the prophet, or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card and button, cease wearing their turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet Noble Juali. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet therefore is sending out a divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Noble Juali. Islam. To be proclaimed at every meeting. I am glad to know that I have a few faithful Moors among you all, and I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth. There is a host of jealousy about me and the movement now by the same people on our side of the nation that claim I was only a joke and unreal. But now, since they have found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation as American citizens, they are working every scheme that they can to disqualify me so they may take charge of the situation. I have notified all these things to you long ago in the past. It is through the faithful Moors that attribute to the movement and uplifting funds. The ones that paid their divine respect to me and the movement will be remembered. That is why I am calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, and your divine Moorish movement. I need finance and I need it badly. Never before have I needed finance so badly as I do at present, so I can shove aside the discord that is facing the nation. It all comes through jealousy because of my fame and nobility. The nations of the world will not recognize the movement without I, the prophet, being head. It has been proven by my works which I have performed in the past few years. Prophet Noble Drew Ali. To the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America, Islam, this is the instruction from your Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Be faithful unto your forefathers' divine and national creed, that you will be blessed for your good deeds that you sow in the flesh. Allah is the one that judges the world, and his judgment is now on, but the weak can comprehend it not. The end of time is drawing near, so says Allah to his divine prophet, I Noble Drew Ali. And that is why many hearts have been turned to stone, many have eyes to see but cannot see, ears to hear but cannot hear, lest they will be confounded of their sins. These are trying hours now, dear Moors, and every evil spirit is moving, and they are trying every weak mind to overthrow and drag out the true foundation that has been laid, and to cause confusion in the minds of the ones that do believe. But if you have the true love of Allah and the spirit of your forefathers, you fear not what you hear or see, but will sacrifice the utmost of your very life to protect your movement and your prophet. Watch your enemies, dear Moors. Your enemies are the ones that speak against your prophet and ridicule him to the very lowest, and the ones that speak against your divine and national principles of your temples. Act accordingly, and Allah will bless you for your good work. Peace. Your divine prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Islam. So just reminder, donations, dues, etc. MSTLA period dofornation7@gmail.com. That's for email money transfer and for PayPal as well. We're asking donations if people's dues are behind, or if they're non-members, that they see Brother Omar in the back and just put something in the pot, because we've been doing classes for free for 10 years, so we think it's only right that people show some support if it's that real. Peace to the Moors in the chat as well, because we also stream all of our classes live. What we were going to be talking about today was a couple weeks ago we started going through the Quran again, and we're going to be looking at there's an article on religious tolerance under the Moors, and we're just correlating that with the beginning of Christianity chapter as well. There was a couple emails, email questions, and then if anybody here has questions, you could just shoot those up. We're going to be doing our first hour and a half to 2 hours will be Q&A, and then after that, it's basically going to be open floor for the above, say, 2-year people to have their discussions with regard to, you know, whatever's going on, what we should be doing, where we should be taking our activity, ideas that people have that they want to put out there. They've been doing their own research and they want to present some info or whatever. That'll be for people who are who've been above and beyond in this, because we realize that everybody's in different places, so we have to have a base level for people, but we also know that because everybody's in different places, some people are beyond base level, and it's not just like it's not fair for the new people to have to hear stuff they don't understand or whatever like that. Same thing with the old people having to go over the new stuff over and over again that they've probably been gone over. So in the coming weeks, what we're going to be looking at doing is taking those 3 or 2 and above year people. They'll be able to go off, whether downstairs or whatever, and do their build in with your own mindset or whatever like that. And then the new people can stay up here and have a more personal interaction with, you know, getting specific stuff answered if they got stuff going on out there or whatever like that. So that's where we're looking at going. Similar to what we were doing before with splitting up the class with the town hall and the classes or whatever.
Yeah.
But just taking it off the floor so that you could have your own personal time. That age range of people could have their own personal time.
That's smart. That's smart way to do it.
To you know, decipher whatever information that they have. The other thing was that there's been a lot of emails with regard to, well, not a lot, there was like probably 2 emails or something, but online, there's a lot of, let's say, controversy regarding these consular court Moors that got kidnapped last week or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where?
DC, I think.
They're BC?
Yeah, DC.
DC?
Yeah.
When this happened?
Last week, sometime. Right. Now the highwaymen are going on the angle of the sovereign citizen, whatever, because their initial activity before consular court was, foreclosed on, send some writs, and go through that whole process of reclaiming the property or whatever, which, the deputy sheriff in the news report, the deputy sheriff was saying that they realized that, they were doing some sovereign citizen, whatever, but they didn't do nothing because they wanted to keep the community safe and they wanted to, so they didn't just go in there with, the SWAT team at the first instance of them realizing that these people are sovereign citizens or whatever. We're realizing that, this is more so to throw all the Moors under the bus just because they know those people are Moors or whatever. And at the same time, discredit the activity of Moors as far as ones who are out there doing certain things that are what we would say active. They're not just in a building being Moors. They're also Moors outside of a building. Whatever that building is, whether it's a house that they're doing stuff at, or a library, or they have their own space, or they're renting, or whatever. There's activity that has to be happening outside of that infrastructure, that building. So the fact that the quote unquote police didn't do anything until now lets you know that they got away with the house claim. Because Negro, black, colored, they're putting up the eviction notice or whatever like that. And if you don't get out, then they're taking you out of the place at the time of foreclose. They're not waiting 2 months to see if something happens and all that type of stuff. So obviously, whatever these people did worked. But again, we use the example of Khalid Muhammad, El Haj, and anybody else who was part of something, claim that they left it, but then they're still given honors and they're still acknowledging the place where they left, which is opening the jurisdiction, which is giving them jurisdiction over them to be able to walk into their stuff and shoot them or whatever it is that they do, because they're not completely out the jurisdiction. So with the consular court people, the fact that they're gonna go and stand on the Senate lawn and then they're gonna pretend like they're the government and all that stuff, when they know that the government that they're claiming they are is to replace a government, but that government's a corporation, you're in the jurisdiction. Because why are you claiming that you're a court, but you're not taking anybody to court. You're claiming you're a court, but you're filling out you're filling out people's proclamation papers. You're claiming you're a court, but you want to be a lecturer. You know, judge whatever out there, got them YouTube videos doing classes. You find me a judge from whatever jurisdiction of court that has YouTube that they're doing classes. So it's probably not really how they're putting it out as it is, which again is where they're going as far as the highwaymen or whatever, because they're making it seem like this is how it is with all Moors. But no, those are specific individuals who took a lane and then they started going down the lane. They realized that it's BS or whatever, but they're still going down the lane. Then they go off the cliff, and then now they're talking about, well, could the Moors call us and help us pull the car up from out the cliff or whatever like that? Because, you know, what do you mean? Because what? You guys knew you were going for a cliff right now, or then, right? If they weren't exercising certain things 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 4 years ago, 3 years ago, and then they just started doing something today and expect that to have some type of credibility when they've been doing, you know, foreclosure or whatever for 8 months or 2 years prior to doing consular court. And then prior to that, they weren't even talking about anything relative to being Moors or whatever. They were just probably Negroes out there doing whatever they're doing. Then you look like a hypocrite. You look like a fraud, because how you just jumping to different stuff, and every time you jump from something to something else, it's because where you're jumping from didn't work, right? So when people present this idea of, you know, well, you know, our brothers and all that stuff, and our sisters, our Moors and the highwayman and whatever like that, okay, yeah. But not really. Peace of love, Lord.
Peace of love.
You know, but not really, because I don't see those people as my brother or sister or whatever, because they never linked me like that, right? Like they never connected me like that. Matter of fact, people who we know that connected with them told us that they're telling people that they don't even know who we are, that they're the actual representation of Moors in the jurisdiction of Canada, that there's nobody else out here, only them. And they just came yesterday, right? But then on the other side of it, we're getting letters from them to our temple, to people who we haven't seen here in 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months or whatever. But they don't know who we are though. And then they're going to be sending out messages about, could you guys donate or whatever to try to help the consuls with the whatever? No, we're not donating jack. Because we don't know y'all like that. We don't know them like that.
If you behave like that, you should expect to get arrested.
You should expect whatever you
You're
get.
gonna get arrested. Because they don't know what you're doing and how hypocritical you behave in life. And then want help.
And then want help. So, right, because you know, there's this constant agenda to make sure that the Moors are tied to some sovereign whatever. Right, that's been the thing. If you for out here, you can look at the Medes versus Medes case. That's like 2013 or something like that. That they've been trying to tie Moors to sovereign citizen whatever. Right. To date, there's maybe I think there's 5 Moors on that.
There's 7.
I think there's 5. Yeah, there's 5. And the way that they use that case and to tie Moors to it, right? There's Nanya Shabu El who's on there, right? That's Calgary. There's Captain Nino, who used to be with us, is on there for some house claiming, whatever. Brother Atif is on there for immigration, who he shouldn't be on there because he's still here. There ain't no issues. He's working, whatever like that. Same thing with Brother Rennie, who was also with us, right? That, you know, he's not looked at as some sovereign, whatever like that. He's out here working or whatever like that. He had immigration issues. And what do you do? When they're standing on the square, and what are they gonna do? They're telling him, well, you know, you need to bring us something from Jamaica to prove that you had a Jamaican birth certificate. He has to do that. But if he doesn't do that, they're not asking him. They're not demanding him, you need to go get the whatever. That if you want to prove that you're Jamaican, we need a Jamaican birth certificate from you to prove that. Other than that, we're going to whatever you're claiming, what your claim is. Because went to court, went to appeal, went to the little immigration sit down, whatever, with the highwayman to have the questions about what are you doing here and why are you going to work and are you going to sign in and all that stuff. Did all that, and still here. So obviously there's no issues.
I was one of them,
right?
One at a time.
Yeah, when we were over at the thing, yeah, right. They tried to play their game of they have jurisdiction, but again, once they once they railroad you, you have right to appeal. And then he stood on his right to appeal, and the appeals people didn't send it back to the court to deal with. The appeal people dealt with it and said, well, you filled out all the paper, you did whatever you're supposed to do, so I guess you just got to go talk to the immigration officer people then. And then they didn't have any issues. So, right? They're not trying to tie him to any sovereign whatever. Like we said, brother, Atif's working. He's here still. No issues like that. Now we look at Captain's on there. He's not here anymore. He jumped ship. Now he's with some other mortals that aren't even based here. They're based in Chicago or whatever, right? And whoever was with him that he took to those people or whatever. And Nani Shabu El, we know he's an FBI agent. He used to be Washita, and then he used to be Nuwapian, I mean, and then he got kidnapped, got taken from Atlanta to Calgary by FBI, and then now he's a Moor out there, and he's, you know, feathers and stuff like that, and he's changing up stuff. He's saying that he's EIL, and that's his free national name because L sounds like eel, so you spell it EIL. And then he created a nation and all this BS that they're doing over there to try to justify their position, right? And as we know, with regard to Nipsey Hussle, police gonna use their agents. Whenever they're ready, that guy's gonna get his call or his envelope or his tap on the shoulder or his whatever to do his agent stuff because you're FBI, you're CIA, you're down with the establishment. Which again, Tuesday's class, we're gonna be talking with one of the Moors who his aunt was a founding member in these gangs, and speaking about the whole Nipsey Hussle murder and the fact that there is a lot more going on in LA amongst the gangs on the unity scale than is presented to the public. So some of that, for example, is for the past 2 years, all the heads of the gangs been meeting up to try to stop the whatever. The head people. the founders of it, the founders' descendants are taking the position of, yeah, we're stopping the gang, whatever. And the death of Nipsey Hussle was actually more unifying than separating, because there was already nothing going on, and everybody knows that this guy was an FBI agent. So they're not taking him shooting him as some gang, whatever. As far as the gangs are concerned, they're not looking at it like that. They're looking at it like somebody's trying to set it up to make like we're not unified as gangs. Right? And then it's going into the whole LAPD gang task force, whatever, and those people have their job that they don't want to lose or whatever, so they got to make this thing look like it is or whatever. Because if there's no gangs, then there's no Guns and Gangs Task Force. There's no Guns and Gangs Task Force, then all those people need to go find a new job. Right? Or they're going to pull like what they're doing with the schools now with cutting jobs or whatever. They'll start surplus people. You know what I mean?
Pack up the classroom.
So so Tuesday we're gonna be doing that interview. We get the real deal.
Who's the interview with on Tuesday?
One of this more Abayomi Bay. He was part
of there? So he's out there.
Yeah, he's out there. I mean, he's initially from out there. He used to live in Seattle. A little backstory. Why he even went back down there was because he was initial in the whole unifying the gang thing, right? Because he has uncles or whatever that are in the rival gang, and he's the only one that could walk on anybody else's turf and not get bothered because your uncle's the big OG. So we don't care what gang you're part of. You're allowed to come in here and chill, hang out with us or whatever, but he's a rival gang member.
Yeah, I get you.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? So he was, when he was in Seattle, he was having bigger problems with the highwaymen there. You know what I mean? And his thing was because they found out about his connection or whatever to the whole gang thing. And then now he's more. So now his mindset of going and engaging gangs is detrimental to these people's existence as police or task force for some gang, whatever, because if this guy who's the founder of the stuff, that they can trace him back to his aunt and his mom being founders, then he has clout as far as being able to tell people whatever, give orders or whatever like that, and then go with it just because of who lineage is coming from. So he was getting so much heat out there. You know what I mean? Crazy stuff going on. We'll talk about some of that on Tuesday too. Cases that he's dealing with, like BS, you know, whatever traffic stuff that's nothing. He's getting time for, and he's getting followed, and you know they know him by every name and whatever, like crazy ones. So
they're trying to squash the beef over there. Long-standing beef, obviously. Trying to squash it there. To what end? We don't know yet. Huh?
Well,
like why all of a sudden there has to be something in the air for that to suddenly take place, right?
Well,
the unifying for a purpose, right? Towards something, not just to cease, not just for a ceasefire.
Well, when we look at the regardless of where we go, when we look at this idea of brothers, sisters, whatever, coming together and being a quote unquote gang, it was really to protect them from highwaymen, KKK, skinheads, or whatever like that. Then it spiraled into what it is that we see today. But initially, that's what it was about. Even when you look at the blaxploitation, Frank Williamson and all, Fred Williamson and Shaft and all these different stuff. That was them protecting against the freaking system. Like all those movies, it was them going against some European mafia, whatever, or corrupt police, or some type of racist band of Europeans trying to whatever a certain community. Like that's what the foundation of all that is. You know what I mean? So, yeah, from a spiritual perspective, they're just going back to what the foundation is. You know what I mean? And like we say all the time, if they realize with the teachings that we have, if they realize about the unity and all that stuff, then they realize that they're actually the police force, the military or whatever, of the black peoples, whatever.
The Muftis.
If you got an issue, call a blood or a crip. Don't call 911. The Crips have a building around the corner where all them hang out at. Call one of them people if there's an issue. Guarantee there won't be any issues. When Debo comes around, everybody's talking their shit. Right? Because they already know. You know what I mean? Right? So yeah, so we'll be dealing with that Tuesday. Just dealing with that aspect. Right? But this idea of people trying to put what happened to those Moors on all Moors, crazy. Because that ain't all Moors activity.
It's nothing new that they've been doing that for.
This is what they've been doing. Right? This is what they've been doing.
You still see that picture of the Circle 7 symbology in those original police ads against sovereign citizens, right? Online.
Mm-hmm.
Right, on the back wall, they have all these different symbols of groups.
Right, yeah, it's plates and all types of
sorts
stuff.
of stuff, and there's still of our symbol up there.
Yeah.
Quick flash, right? They don't say anything, but it's there.
Right. So part of this is the article about, was the Islam of old Spain truly tolerant? And then this came about because I was going with a Moor the other day, and we were talking about the religious aspect of the Moorish movement and how that perspective has to be embraced more by Moors, because Moors seem to forget that Noble Drew Ali said we honor all prophets, and those people who are other prophets that Noble Drew Ali, all of them come from a religious ideal. So if he's telling us to honor them, there must be something in those other ones that we can extract from for ourselves to be better, right? So this came through because we know that as far as our rule on the planet as Asiatics, there's always been other people who would come to us to learn, and there wasn't a discrimination against whoever that was coming to us to learn, right? Either you want to learn, so you got to go through whatever the time period is that it takes to learn, or don't come here and learn. But there's no turning people away who want information or who want knowledge or whatever, right? And this article is from 2003. Looming over the freshly painted garden, seemingly to quiver in a furnace-like heat, is another image, The Alhambra, a 14th century Muslim fortress of red tinted stone that is everything this mosque is not. Ancient, battle-scarred, monumental. It seems at once a reminder of lost glories and a spur of their restoration. It may also inspire darker sentiments, for it was from the Alhambra watchtower that Christian conquerors unfurled their flag in 1492, marking the end of almost 8 centuries of Islamic rule in Spain. Less than a decade later, forced conversions of Muslims began. By 1609, they were being expelled. That lost Muslim kingdom, the southern region of Spain, the Muslims called Al-Andalus, and it is called Andalusia, now looms over far more than the new mosque garden, and variations of the Moor's last sigh, the sigh the final ruler of the Alhambra supposedly gave as he gazed backwards. For radical Islamists, the keynote is revenge. In one of Osama bin Laden's post-9/11 broadcasts, his deputy invoked the tragedy of Al-Andalus, right? Going back to that thing of trying to tie the Moors to some sovereign citizen, whatever, right? This is something also Anwar Majid in the We Are All Moors book talks about not only aspects like this, but also aspects of racism, aspects of prejudice, aspects of somebody's religion is greater than somebody else's, so you got to destroy them, whatever. All that stuff comes from the history of the Moors and the Christians, right? All of that is stemming from there, right? For Spain, which is destroying Islamic terror cells while welcoming a growing Muslim minority, the note yearned for its reconciliation. The sighs have also included a retrospective utopianism. Islamic Spain has been hailed for its convivencia, its spirit of tolerance in which Jews, Christians, and Muslims created a pre-modern renaissance. Cordoba in the 10th century was a center of commerce and scholarship. Arabic was a conduit between classical knowledge and nascent Western science and philosophy. The ecumenical Andalusian spirit was even invoked at this summer's opening ceremony for the new mosque. That heritage, though, can be difficult to define. Even at the mosque, the facade of liberality gave way. At its conference on Islam in Europe, one speaker praised Al-Andalus not for its openness, but for its rigorous fundamentalism. Were similar views also part of the Andalusian past? The impulse to idealize runs strong. If Andalusia really had been an enlightening society that combined religious belief with humanism and artistry, then it would provide an extraordinary model offering proof of Islamic possibilities now eclipsed while spurring new understandings in the West. In Spain, that idealized image has been institutionalized. In Cordoba, a Moorish fortress houses the Museum of the Three Cultures. There was once a time, the audio narration says, when East was not separate from West, nor was Muslim from Jew or Christian. That time offers, it continues, an eternal message more relevant today than ever before. Right? So again, going back to with Tuesday, that we have a Moor, just like in ancient times, bridging the gap between rivaling factions, whether we're looking at the gangs and then the police, because what he was also explaining was that there's people in the police that are down with the unity of the gangs, right? Like they're actually with it. They're not against them stopping whatever. So, you know, like they were saying, they keep making reference to Spain, and the Moors, Al-Andalus. There was no Spain in 1492, 1491, 1490. There was no, all that was Al-Andalus. Spain only came after these parts, after the Moor did the last time, and then now there's Spain. Like there's no Spain before the side. If you didn't side, there would be no Spain, right? In one room, statues that include the 12th century Jewish sage Maimonides, Maimonides, his Islamic contemporary, the Aristotelian Averroes, and 13th century Christian king Alfonso X are illuminated as voices recite their congenial observations. A more scholarly paean is offered in The Ornament of the World, How Muslims, Jews, and Christians Created a Culture of Tolerance in Medieval Spain, by Maria Menocal, Menocal, a professor of Spanish and Portuguese at Yale University. Ms. Menocal argues that Andalusia's culture was rooted in pluralism and shaped by religious tolerance, particularly in its prime, a period that lasted from the mid-8th century until the fall of the Umayyad dynasty in 1031. It was undermined, she argues, by fundamentalism, Catholic and Islamic alike. But as many scholars have argued, this image is distorted. Even the Umayyad dynasty, begun by Abd al-Rahman in 756, was far more enlightened. Issues of succession were often settled by force. One ruler murdered 2 sons and 2 brothers. Uprisings in 805 and 818 in Cordoba were answered with mass executions and the destruction of one of the city's suburbs. Wars were accompanied by plunder, kidnappings, and ransoms. Cordoba itself was finally sacked by Muslim Berbers in 1013, its epochal library destroyed. Andalusian governance was also based on religious tribal model. Christians and Jews who shared Islamic's Abrahamic past had the status of dhimmis, alien minorities. They rose high but remained second-class citizens. One 11th century legal text called them members of the Devil's Party. They were subject to special taxes and often dress codes. Violence also erupted, including a massacre of thousands of Jews in Granada in 1066 and the forced exile of many Christians in 1126. In fact, throughout Andalusian history, under both Islam and Christianity, religious identity was obsessively scrutinized. There were terms for a Christian living under Arab rule, Mozarat, a Muslim living under Christian rule, Mujadar, and a Christian who converted to Islam, Muladi, a Jew who converted to Christianity, Converso, a Jew who converted but remained a secret Jew, Moreno, and a Muslim who converted to Christianity, Morisco. Even in the Umayyad 10th century, Islamic philosophers were persecuted and books burned. And despite the Cordoba Museum's message, Maimonides and his family fled Muslim fundamentalism in Cordoba in 1148 when he was barely in his teens. Averroes was banished from Cordoba about 50 years later. Tolerance may have left less of a cultural mark than intolerance. The historian Joel Kramer has suggested that in Andalusia, a sense of precariousness inspired mysticism, esoteric teachings, and a prudent dissimulation before Islamic superiors. And what of Andalusian cultural interchange? Ms. Menocal cites the ways of Islamic styles appear in Spanish synagogues, one in Toledo, even incorporating Quranic inscriptions, and in the 14th century Christian palace, the real Alcazar in Seville. But far from exhibiting convivencia, these resemblances display the power of a culture as dominant as American popular culture is now, and is imitated even if otherwise opposed. None of this though reduces the impulse to idealize Andalusia. One reason may be that it looks so good given what followed. In 1391, pogroms in Christian Spain, for example, an estimated 100,000 Jews were killed, 100,000 converted, and 100,000 forced to flee, a prelude to the 1492 expulsion of all Jews and the 17th century expulsion of all Muslims. In comparison, many societies might resemble paradise. But there was also something intrinsically astonishing about Andalusian culture. A visitor feels that instantly in its surviving buildings. They too invite idealization, but their power has little to do with notions of tolerance or liberality. In the Great Mosque of Cordoba, for example, begun in the 8th century, the geometric effects are breathtaking. Cascading matrices of arched stone, which one frame thousands of worshippers, led the eyes onward toward an ever-receding edges of perceptible space. Later, Islamic styles retain the sense of enclosure and complexity. Filigreed ornamentation surrounds arches and windows, shaping the inner world as much as framing the outer one. But these varieties of Islamic style, far from reflecting a humanistic vision, suggest a world governed by the rigors of the intellect and the strictures of law. The world, whether in a mosque or a palace, presumes submission and declares mastery. It also seduces, for which its all-encompassing bounds, playful ornamentation, and speculation take flight. But the individual is not the focus of attention. The position or status of the individual is. This is quite different from the humane ideal so often attached to Andalusia's name. The outcome is not a version of tolerance, though as its best it can be offer a version of the sublime. The viewer is absorbed in a formal world that overwhelms, inspiring awe with intricacies that seem beyond comprehension. The Alhambra is a monument of the Andalusian sublime. It is a pillared paradise, calmed by the murmur of fountains, the throne room dazzling with mosaics of sunlight and filigree, is crowned with a wooden model of the Islamic heavens. But the Alhambra is hardly a model of contemporary aspiration. It does not frame the world, it divides it. It is both a fortress and a palace, thrusting a grim, forbidding face onward and an ornamented countenance inward. Its aggressive facade and precarious and precious interior are irreconcilable. It was the last Muslim redoubt in a Christian realm, an embodiment of the Moor's last sigh. And when this monument to a culture's grand expansive dream and its quest for reflective purity finally fell, the Christians understood the message in their own way. In 1492, the year of its fall, Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand triumphantly met in Alhambra's halls and there committed themselves to both expansion and exorcism. They sent Columbus away on his voyage and expelled the Jews from Spain. The resulting size and satisfaction are still being sorted out. Any thoughts? Any thoughts on that? And again, if anybody has questions, feel free to ask those. Now, one thing that we took that the whole concept of the tolerance and them claiming that there wasn't any tolerance. Part of it, I think, is because of the individual is not the focus of attention. The position or status of the individual is the focus of attention. Right? And that's the same thing that we're even dealing with today.
Yeah.
That it's all about the status of the individual,
Nationality.
right? What is the status? If the status is limited in its scope, then you're going to be victim.
Yeah.
If the status is vast, then you could jump around into different jurisdictions and not even get touched.
Yeah.
You wouldn't even have any issues
No.
with anybody, which again goes back to this concept of noble duality and telling us that we honor all divine prophets. We don't just honor noble duality only. We also honor everybody else who claimed that they were a prophet of some type of, religious persuasion, because, the idea of knowing where you are from a religious perspective or a divine perspective, metaphysical, occult, or whatever, is setting you up with status. Is putting you in a particular status. So, like we say with people who this information is to get something out. They're here because they got a ticket, or they had a whatever. They had child support. They had some type of issue going on. That's why they're here.
That's not
Right? That pretty much takes away from really why you're here, because that's not the reason. That's not the reason why. You know what I mean? This is for mental upliftment. This is for spiritual grounding. This is not because you got a ticket. But we know more.
We got a government at thousands of dollars, millions already. They pay over like 10, 15 grand just in a child support. Overpaid from the government now giving back. I mean, use one of them fighting a Caucasian so-called July down Gulf. I mean, use him fight the system and say, look, listen, Rasta, you already pay how much $1,000 already. Them can't charge you no more. As a matter of fact, they owe you. They owe you money. So tell them to pay you now. Yeah. But it's a way to do these things.
Right.
Yeah, go about these things. Overpaid for almost 15 grand in a child support.
Right.
Don't give back a cent. I mind. I tell them not to kill them. Nationality more meaningful than anything.
Right.
Who you is, who you are, why are you here, who the hell are you? You know?
And then
That's the question again put by you out the street. Who are you? Who are you? Where you from? Who you?
Yeah.
Who you? Oh, you black person? No.
Yeah.
I tell the opposite side, oh, I'm not a black person. Instead of saying, then who are you? I said, I'm more. Instead of no teacher that to say, well, duality the prophet. Tell me who we are. But it's just that side that we don't pick up. Our people are so slow and they don't grasp because they're so brainwashed already. They don't rewatch them brainwash in order to know this, know them real true self. Because this is what it is. We are all Moors. We do this to them. We created them. We give them all the knowledge too. We do this. We do this. No? We mess up our own self. You know?
Right. Somebody had sent a box of truffles from the Bay. Like last week, they sent an email, a picture of it or whatever. And this was the Moorish that was on the truffles. Right? The purple box and all that or whatever, right? But that's the Moorish that was on the truffles. So just like you're saying, the people are slow.
Yeah.
Because they be eating their truffles. But they don't even know what's
right
on
in front every
right
day.
in front
Every
right
day.
in front of them.
The 7, everything.
Right.
Everywhere you go, you see it. No? Even at the advertisement now. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. No, with remember that they were saying Islam, Christianity. Islam, Christianity, and Judaism. Right? Now we know that This is mystic.
Yes,
I know that this is mystic.
Yeah. But the big ones are fraud.
And this one right here. The mystic is hidden and they put it under something else. So Noble Drew Ali came and told us in the beginning of Christianity chapter, the foundation of Christianity began in Rome. The Roman nations founded the first church, of whom crucified Jesus of Nazareth for seeking to redeem his people from under the Roman yoke and law. Right? Because we already know that Jesus was in these. Right? You know that he had nothing to do with this. Jesus himself was of the true blood of the ancient Canaanites and Moabites and the inhabitants of Africa. Seeking to redeem his people in those days from the pressure of the pale-skinned nations of Europe, Rome crucified him according to their law. Right? So the story that we get is that Jesus was going against the devil or whatever.
Yeah.
But he was really going after Europeans.
Yeah.
Because he was Asiatic.
Sure.
He had dark skin,
Sure.
had hair like lamb's wool, skin that burnt in oven and all that stuff. So he was like us. If he was fighting against European, that means he ain't no different than Black Panthers, El Hajj, Nation of Islam, Moor Science Temple. He was on the same plane as all of that, which is what we're not told. Because again, our people are looking at this from the perspective of what somebody brought to them, opposed to what their prophet brought to them about what this is.
They take master teeth.
Which is again why, Moors gravitate to Islam. But it's not that we're gravitating to this religion, it's that we're gravitating to mysticism. It's presented as
Islam,
right? It's presented as some type of religious school of thought. But when you go read Torah, Kabbalah, or whatever, it's mysticism they're talking about. If you go read the Bible, it's Gnostic, right? It's allegorical, it's metaphorical. It's not what you read on the page is what it is.
So instead of saying European, that's a double, but it's still the same energy of being that's reduced.
Right. And then once you fall into that quote unquote quality of life, you realize that you have no life, only death.
Death. Sure death.
Right? Because anything based in fiction is fiction. Nothing based in fiction is a reality.
No, not really.
Right? Like we were having a discussion yesterday about flat earth and round earth and is it a ball, is it or whatever like that.
Nonsense.
And it's the reality is it's both. Oh, but no, it can't be both because, well, why can't it be both?
Yeah.
Why can't you come to that convention that, well, hey, maybe everybody's been told one side. Everybody's been told, that the stuff's flat. But then they're gonna deny the spheres concept when the brain that they're using to think is based on sphere. You have a right and a left hemisphere. If man is like Earth or whatever, as above so below, then the brain's not flat.
Nope.
Based on spheres.
Sure.
A right hemisphere, left hemisphere. What if the flat Earth concept is one sphere of the brain, then the round Earth concept is the other sphere of the brain? And they have us in the middle, looking at two things that mean one thing. Right? What if Islam, Christianity, and Judaism are the same stuff? And there's not no need for all these different
Religion or.
different whatever. These guys say God, these guys say God, these guys say God. They might call there something else, but they know they mean one supreme being.
Yeah.
And these guys mean that, and these guys mean that. But then all of them are gonna say, well, nah, we can't mess with them, or we can't read their stuff because, which is creating that separation.
But that do it. That's what caused all of that.
Yeah, yes, this is the culprit right
This
here.
is the culprit. That's the culprit.
Right? This is the culprit.
Yeah. Right there.
Yeah, what?
Yeah, it's funny because when you, if you look into Arianism, original Arianism has to do with Christians who were against the Trinity concept. For the oneness of a single, great spirit. So it's funny that they took that word, turned it into some sort of, again, a fraud.
Then people are chasing the fraud of what it is.
Based, non-air blood, whatever.
Yeah.
Nonsense.
Right? And then again, it's across the board that this is based in fraud too. But there's a foundation to this that would lead you somewhere, right? So even as it said, Islam, we know, like, we got our chart right now that you can see Islam, I, self, law, and master. I, self, law, and master, right? And then all these letters that make up this word have mystical meaning behind that, right?
Sure.
Judaism, through symbology in Judaism. Remember, they're going to say that you can't, anything relative to Muhammad, you're not supposed to have any depictions of it or whatever like that. But if you go to Judaism and you look at the symbology of Judaism, you see that it's mystical. Again, with the chart, you have the Star David with the Ankh in the middle, right? Letting you know that that's not some stuff that came from Moses or whatever. This is, or Abraham and whatever. This is based on ancient Kemetic teachings that got watered down so that these people in this realm could have something to say that is their thing. And these people say that we have something, right? But the reality is that it's all the same thing, different aspects. Or, like we say with the sun. The sun's at 12 o'clock, everybody's getting light. But at 4, light's limited in certain places. That's just what it is. That's where people have gotten to. That they're not looking at spirituality, religion, and whatever from high noon. They're looking at it from 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, whatever. And then it starts getting darker and darker. They're not paying attention. That high noon is when you get everything. That's the only time you're going to get everything. Right? Seeking to redeem his people in those days from the pressure of the pale-skinned nations of Europe, Rome crucified him according to their law. Then Europe had peace for a long time until Muhammad I came upon the scene and fulfilled the works of the Jesus of Nazareth. The holy teaching of Jesus was to the common people to redeem them from under the great pressure of the hands of the unjust, that the rulers and the rich would not oppress the poor. Also, that the lion and the lamb may lay down together and neither would be harmed when morning came. Right? So when we look at the origin of Christianity, right? And they say that Christianity was founded in Rome. And then when you do the research on Christianity, right, you find about Nicene Conference, Constantine, and things that don't even have this in it. So you're not going to see Christianity in the Bible. That word's not in there,
Mhm.
anywhere in there. But those people say that that's what it is.
Yeah.
This is
Where did the Taurus fit?
so when you okay. So if we look at holy books, once you say book, you're talking about man. So man wanted man was in a certain position spiritually. So angels, ancestors, whatever like that, inspired man to prepare something, and then certain people gravitate to that. If people didn't like that, then somebody else came and they did something else.
Yeah.
And then somebody didn't say that, but then, remember that when we look at the timeline, let's say, if we say before the Moors went into Spain and ruled with Islam, they were ruling with Gnosticism everywhere, right? Gnosticism is ancient Egyptian mysteries, right? Prior to that, they were ruling with something else. So what we're looking at is just we're looking at a hierarchical structure. There's a pyramid at the top where everything comes from, and then you have the branches that we see today. But this is why we're saying that when you start taking everything back up the hierarchical ladder, you're eventually going to say, forget Torah, because that came from somewhere. They say, forget Islam, forget Christianity, forget Buddhism, forget whatever, because all those things are just man's description of what they perceive this thing is.
Yeah.
Oh, well, Buddhists follow that, so we'll call this Buddhism. Well, what if there was 5 guys with Buddha that were following the same stuff? How come that guy was the only guy that everybody's looking at as the what we should call this? When they say Christ, Christianity comes because of Christ.
Christ, yeah. True.
But then, if you know that it's like with the Rastafarians, right? They should really be saying Haile Selassians, because that's really what they're representing, the 1930 coronation that made him be who he is.
Yeah.
That's what it's really, but they don't say that they're Haile Selassie, they say they're Rastafarian, which is Haile Selassie on the low mindset. He's not where he was yet. To say that would be the reference point that you use to say that's the religion. It should really be Selassians. Right? But again, it comes out that thing with man, with their limited knowledge.
The book again, the Bible, these things.
And then again that, when you look at him as Haile Selassie, he's in the office with a picture of Jesus behind him. But they're gonna say that he's son of God, or he's a God, or whatever. But he has stuff in the office relative to quote unquote Christianity or Islam or Buddhism or whatever. Like, God doesn't need those stuff, but God needs pictures of Jesus to do what? If he's God. And then if he's a human being and we're human beings, and if he's God, then I'm God. But then that gets into, we're back to the book, the man-made book, that you shouldn't, you can't call yourself God and all that stuff, because only God could do that. But the devil could do whatever he wants. And nobody has no question. Nobody's questioning. Everybody says, I want to be the devil. There's no issue.
But I can say something, but in reality, there is no such thing as God and devil.
Right. Because
So,
again, goes back to that same hierarchical.
so right here, they put that, and that mess up the world.
The whole thing.
The whole world.
That's
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
that.
these Christians, they just mess up.
Yeah, that's just that.
Well,
Right? Because, again, when you go into Gnostic teachings, they're telling you that you're the devil and you're God.
yeah.
When you act like, a nigger, this is the devil.
Devil that.
When you act righteous or whatever, that's the God.
That's
You know what I mean?
Seriously.
Right? And once again, when he was up there too. When we, oh no, it was Quran I was thinking about. When we look at the aspect of Judaism and Torah and things like that, remember that all that is really symbolic. That's the real lesson is the tree of life, not the book. The real lesson is the crescent and star, not the book that people got or whatever like that. The real book is the universe.
Yeah.
That's the real
Yeah.
Quran.
It's not. Yes.
Not because this is supposed to lead you to look up there. If this has you just stuck here, then this obviously isn't quote unquote holy or whatever.
Yeah.
Because it's keeping you grounded to this plane, right? So Christianity again. The teachings were not accepted by the rulers, neither the rich, because they loved the principles of the Ten Commandments. Through the Ten Commandments, the rulers and the rich live, while the poor suffer and die. Right, so by just eliminating this, right, just like the brother was saying, they talk about God, devils, angels, and all this other stuff, right? That creates a whole whatever. Then Ten Commandments comes in now. That creates a whole other thing. But now remember, Ten Commandments is supposed to be over here.
Doesn't the Ten Commandments come from Christ?
Right? Well, yeah, from 42 laws of Ma'at.
Yeah.
42 laws of Ma'at. Right? Which, obviously, there's stuff missing.
Yeah.
Well, if they're saying 10 commandments, and then that's the only thing. Like, for example, that was one of the things with Christianity that had me like, I don't know. Only 10 stuff, like that's it? And we're gonna go. Well,
limit.
You gotta check it out.
That's it.
Yeah, did that get they good? Did everything
The
say?
logic is to track you to the Ten Commandments to when they were in the wilderness.
Yeah.
And not living in, a government society.
Yeah, society.
It has things broken down into sections and, you've got governance, that sort of thing. But still.
Yeah.
It's still
And then
short of the real deal.
even with that perspective too, obviously these people had some type of functioning society. If they had 42 laws, obviously they had 32 laws more than these other people. And remember, this is before them.
Yeah.
So they should have added to the 42, opposed to taking away 30.
The other thing too
If
is
it's
that,
the law.
with the Ten Commandments, it's more of like, it's like an end of all. Like if you don't do them, then you burn. How it's actually
Right.
But then with my end, it's more of what you should and what you should. If you want to live in a heaven state of mind,
Right.
then you should do this.
Right.
If you do this, you're gonna live in a hell state of mind. But then when we go to Christianity, it's like literally you're gonna burn
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
hell. When these are
Lake of fire.
Yep. Make fire and brimstone and all that. Yep.
It's depressing.
So they put fear.
Yeah. Fear.
They
right?
put fear
Yeah.
again. Now
Because-
fear win again.
Yeah, because if you can't live up to these, right, then you're gonna put yourself in a state of mental servitude.
Oh, yeah.
If you can't live up to these little 10 things or whatever, you can't do those 10 things there, you're gonna have some problems. Especially if you're using that as a measuring stick for your existence. When, again, like you said, there's the 42 laws of Ma'at, that even the language in it makes you have a lot more respect for what's gonna happen if you don't do those.
Like that little, sorry, for me personally, that little switch, because I grew up in Christianity, that's where I was born in the East Coast.
Right.
So we learned that first. So to learn that little bit of information, when I learned that, it was like, I felt such a weight off my shoulders.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you're constantly taught that if you don't follow this, then you're not good enough, and you can't make it, and it's so depressing. Yeah.
And that's all.
The words alone, it's like, you can't do this, you can't do that, versus what you should.
What you should and should not do. Right,
Yeah.
right. Which again goes back to,
Yeah, all of that is.
the concept of mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. You get what you ask for, and you get what you don't ask for. But I should not do whatever, but then you're probably not gonna do that. If I shall not whatever, then you're probably not gonna do that. But, if you don't know the repercussions, or you go do it, well, they say not to do this, but, I can do this, then I'm gonna do this all the time. Because ain't nobody there's nothing saying that, there's no fire and brimstone coming to get you if you don't do certain stuff. You know what I mean? Now that could be taken in different contexts depending on where you at. Like the guy who sold whatever, and then now he's in wherever, and his feet are popped up or whatever like that, because I'm good right now. Never got caught, never been to jail, never been no snitches, never whatever like that, but all you do was sell drugs all over. Right? Is he violating any of these? Because in order for them to have this, they did that. In order for them to push Christianity, they murdered, pillaged, and did all the stuff that we're complaining about people right now. Well, they can't do that because that's evil or whatever. Well, we're following people who did the same stuff that people are doing right now that we're complaining about.
That's right. It's still wicked.
Right? And then it goes across the board. You know what I mean? You and the Jewish stuff, and they'll have the rabbis will tell you stuff about some Jewish stuff, make you say, forget Torah. Where's those guys fire and brimstone or whatever? They don't even go there. And look at the madness that they're doing. Right? Same thing with Islam. Sunni and Shiite and all these denominations of I self-law master.
Yeah.
Either you are the law and the master, or you're not.
True.
If you're not, you're probably getting ruled by somebody. And again, this is across the board. This is with everybody. Okay. The lamb is the poor people. The lion is the rulers and the rich. And through love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, all men are one and equal to seek their own destiny and to worship under their own vine and fig tree, after the principles of the holy and divine laws of their forefathers. So, mysticism is our vine and fig tree. Gnosticism is our vine and fig tree. Metaphysics, astrology, occult, cosmology, 7 liberal arts is all part of our returning to the vine and fig tree, or going back to the mindset of our ancient foremothers and forefathers. Right? They were, for example, they were talking about. I was watching a thing earlier on the pyramids, and they were talking about how it's a fact that all the pyramids were encased in limestone. And they're trying to fathom, well, why would this be done? Because if they put this thing in limestone, you could see this thing from the sun, you can see the pyramid. If this pyramid has limestone on it, and limestone is like, they made the reference to, they made it like, limestone is like fresh snowflakes or whatever they were saying, something like that. Fresh snowflakes falling or whatever like that is what limestone would look like.
Look like, yeah. Real limestone.
Right? How is it that these people did this, first of all, and then who do they want to get the attention of this thing?
Oh, yeah.
That they have to put the line, like whose attention are they trying to get? Probably not somebody from this point from here.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's not having that effect from here. You know what I mean? Like it's okay, you built a pyramid, great. You know what I mean? And then they start going into, the stuff being lined up with the cosmos because, obviously they were talking to somebody out there or whatever in order for them to line it up like something out there. They had to have some type of relation with out there. To line up the thing on Earth with out there that has nothing to do with here, or does it have something to do with here? And then they start talking about the little portals on the pyramid that in the Pharaoh's chambers where they have the bodies, they got a portal, and the portal's pointing right to the spot where they say this stuff is lining up with. And then they're making the relation that, well, they did that so that the soul could go back or whatever like that, or that stuff could come back here and not get lost when it's out there. So that they have a reference point here as to, where they are in the universe or whatever. Right?
It's all science, man.
It's all science. All nations of earth in these modern days are seeking peace, but there is but one true and divine way that peace may be obtained in these days, and it is through love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice being taught universally to all nations in all lands. Then again, that's going right back again to this tolerance of the Moors, or the tolerance under the Moors, where, when the Moors ruled, you were able to be Christian. They weren't telling you have to convert to Islam to be under rule of the Moors. They weren't telling, the ancient Egyptians were saying you have to be Egyptian to come to the Kemetic mystery schools. Once you wanted to learn, come on. Come and learn everything that you want.
You're Greek, come up and learn.
Right? Now, this is not your average school, so you might have to do 40 years here, or the 2 or whatever in your school. But if you want to learn, the door's open for anybody who wants to. Right? Now, there was also relative to that chapter, to the beginning of Christianity chapter, in the end of time and fulfilling of prophecies, we as a clean and pure nation, descended from the inhabitants of Africa, do not desire to amalgamate or marry into the families of the pale-skinned nations of Europe, neither serve their gods of their religion, because our forefathers are the true and divine founders of the first religious creed for the redemption and salvation of mankind on earth. Right, going back again to Moors ruling Spain, Moors ruling Al-Andalus, Moors ruling Europe, and everybody learning under us. Because of this idea of we're tolerable. When you look at, when they talk about how did the Europeans put black people in slavery, or because we're tolerable. We give people lives.
So good.
Right? We are the ever-loving beings on the planet. But only when it comes to somebody else. Because to each other, we're horrible to each other.
Yeah.
Right? We're horrible to each other. But to somebody else, oh yeah, we're gonna pull out the red carpet, black carpet, orange, blue carpet for them people. But for our own, we're not even taking it to that level. Right? Therefore, we are returning the church and Christianity back to the European nations, as it was prepared by their forefathers for their salvation.
Yeah.
Right? Now we know that our forefathers dealt with Gnosticism, not Christianity. Our forefathers dealt with mysticism, not Islam and Judaism. And the essence of this is getting our people back to those places. But like the brother said, because of this is why our people are in that block.
Mash up
Or are blocked off
Mash
from
up the
their
world.
ancestral, whatever it is. Completely blocked off. Because they've adopted something, they've adopted practices that have nothing to do with their ancient foremothers and forefathers. Where even in this it tells them honor their foremothers and forefathers or whatever like that, and then they're worshiping.
So you so dumb with you so dumb with that, eh?
Forget that one.
Yeah. You don't have to do that.
Forget that part then.
You don't have to do that.
And it's funny, that part, that one is the first one that comes with a promise.
Yeah,
there's a promise out
yeah,
there.
exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Things will look up for you. If you don't do that, things are not looking up for you. Yeah.
I guess they lied a lot, you know.
Yeah, the author of confusion.
And I lied to it from the
Author of confusion is a liar.
I lied to it.
And they also say don't look anywhere else.
Yeah.
So you
Right.
don't qualify.
Yeah.
Don't study anything else.
Don't read
Yeah.
that now. Don't learn that now.
People don't even know.
Because as soon as you start going into other things, you realize that these people are.
Yeah, lied to us. They lied to us.
Yeah. All right, fam.
Peace and love.
Thanks, yo.
Peace and love.
Oh, yo, well, Alex, don't forget, the Ministry of Death with them people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll bring it out, man.
Yeah.
You can read that chapter for themselves.
Yeah.
But to show you something still, why is it that for so long then, Moors have been around, right? From ever since. But yet still our people are way so far, even regardless of Christianity. Now let's get that up. I'm gonna care about Christianity. I've been there, walk a church, Christian, done everything.
Right.
Everything, we do everything already.
Right.
All in the world, we do that already. So the reality is now, them can't see themselves as Moors.
Well, like
you're born Moors.
yeah.
There's no such thing as a black man, a black person.
Yeah. But
There's no
we're
such thing as a
using
black person.
the
There's no such
example
thing as a black person.
of there was an email that I got from somebody that sort of speaks to what it is that you're asking.
Because in reality, them still brainwash me, lie to us, but you find out, chief find out. Come on now, all the rest now find out. Now when you go outside and talk to your sister down the road or your brother, they don't grasp, they don't learn nothing, they don't interested, they don't want to know.
Yeah.
Because this is what we see, my people in this. When the more is gone, you hear nothing about
Yeah. Pretty much.
It's, yeah.
Nothing.
Let's say people them, so right now we just stay some people. Because money you want, I have it, and I don't say, yeah, that you worship God. Just stay some now. Yeah. I'm still the people for them in story.
Right.
They don't have no love for humanity, they don't love themselves being Moors. They call themselves black. And they want to fight my feet, and they will kill some of them. If I have to gunshot in the head, blood clot. Yeah, serious, I'm not a joke, a real talk, because I'm not make you put me down either.
Right.
I'm not make you Christian boy, or Christian girl, or whosoever Muslim from Shiite I'm doing nothing.
Yeah.
Burn down your church, your temple, or boom it down. Make history then. That's not the case. Never go out, it might as well.
Might as well go out big.
Yeah, go big. Instead of going on the road and for ganja or cocaine, you sell or wait about police, not me for beating a prison. Brother, go that way.
Yeah.
Because you're a bad man listening and thinks a Rasta enough to have nothing on.
Yeah, I think they were.
Pull! Get! Who's it? What's your name? Identification. Sarah Morris. That's my picture, but that's not me. That's not my name. So yeah, that's not your name. Well, you take it, yeah. Let's go out and say the same thing too. You're on, but that's not. Yeah, that's my picture, but that's not me. And I don't not taking this thing, man.
Yeah.
I tired of this.
Yeah. Everybody.
And the judge and everybody look up at me and say, I'm not here for that today. I'm not here for that today. I don't want to hear about that today. You're gonna pay part of it. Part of it and get the hell out of here. Yeah, get the hell out of here. We're taking a $270.
Yeah.
Man say, listen, man, let's pay part of it. Get out of here. Get it.
Yeah.
Get it.
Right.
So
Yeah.
what mouth?
Yeah.
And Chinese, everyone, the political rastas. They say, and then now me go with a woman and she's like,
looking like
listen man, men are black and men are, please, men are fear nothing. Men are shame and nothing. Right, so, yeah, so go and say, listen, men are black, yo, you know why you treat me like that? Like no nigger and no black person, I'm not a black person. When I said that, the world could be silent and him. He said, I'm not here for that. That means he knows.
Yeah, he knows exactly what's going on.
He knows already that, yeah, I know who you are. Yeah. Okay, you say you're a Westerman. You're a Westerman, but your nationality. Say, just like being a Rastaman, who the hell cares about that? Yeah. What's your nationality? Yeah. Who are you? Not a true Greek person, a straw man. So we're not a straw man.
Yeah.
The fuck is a straw man? I know they all been proper name. Yep. I know they all have been proper identity. And nobody. Regardless of the vanity and the material and the wealth.
The things that are gonna lead you into the
if I was to buy it, I just buy it. Just buy the nationality. Yeah. Which they're gonna do that eventually. You will have to pay for that. Some places right now. The top of the sovereignty thing. Yeah, people like England are doing online. You want to change it.
Yep.
You want to get
everybody's on it.
Log on. $500 application.
Yep.
Don't worry, brother. Don't worry. I got it. Working a business.
Yeah. And then what you're saying too.
Out of this. Yeah. Make a business out of this. Not good. Hear that me say.
The whole idea of go to these places, Cork or whatever like that, and then have an experience like that. It's supposed to, just like you say, make people. Everybody in the country will follow you out like, I want to see what the hell did he do?
Like
from 100
I'm not
to 40?
here for that. You're not in here for that. Pay $40 and get out of here. Pay $40 and then you know where to go, Rasta? Say yeah. Get out of here.
That's it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
and I think it was $270.
And that's how it's supposed to go. That's how it should be. That's how it should
I'm
be.
tell you, sir, you're on. We're not straight on the Bible.
Yeah. Yeah, you have that.
We're not straight on the Bible. We're Christian. We're not straight on the Bible. And you see people don't know.
Yeah,
and they're with you.
Yeah, they're looking at you crazy. What do you mean?
And yeah, that's
you don't love God.
But when I'm going to church or baptized with everything, I'm going to church and sleep on altar and preach. I preach from that little boy, and I preach in the church. So these people are going to tell that. Eh? When they trick me from a young, they tell me an idiot. Eh? Believing about Jesus. Jesus. Eh? I saw them have my mother, my brother, and my sister, them out there. Everybody, them going to fight against you. Them going to fight against you more, so I'm telling you. But if you don't feel it, don't worry, you will feel it. It's coming. And it's coming more and more and more because the truth are revealed. So when the truth are revealed itself, there's somebody who's going to come and dump the truth again.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. All the time.
Why? They're going to come.
Yeah.
Nobody think it's going to be just
cakewalk.
Yeah. And I'm more going to feel good on the street, but I watch for gunshots. Man, I'll say something. But I know that. Yeah. I know that. And that's why I'm fear to never change over from a long time. But I know so these things, You know, it's coming and we need to gather more. We need more.
Right.
We need more people. We need more people.
And that's the,
When I like come and see meeting and we see 5, 6, 7 people. Rubbish.
Yeah.
Like a joke.
Yeah.
Like a joke. That means what? The people not get it.
people
They're
not
running down welfare money. Government own them.
But then that's what we're
And their
saying. With
children.
the power of the ones who we have. So the power of the ones who we have, that people who aren't on the mindset, we don't need them in here.
No.
Because now they're just dead weight.
Yeah.
Better they not be here. Then the place is full of people, and only 5% of the people who are here are going to do something
mindset.
with what we got. Better we just have the 5. You know what I mean? Like Brother Omar makes the example of you know, if we have a ball team of 5 people and 2 people are not going to play hard or whatever, might as well go to play 3-on-3 instead of playing 5-on-3.
This teaches something again going back. Right. And said many are called and few are chosen. In reality, then see, many are called, but few are chosen. Them say how much souls never dead in the Bible, very. Yeah, they're not trying to kill them and put them in a FEMA camp. You know that, for sure. But she's only a few of them.
Yeah. That's like the thing we're saying, that
a few sad.
You know,
some son and my children and my ex are moved.
But that's what it's about. It's not about the wake up the masses or whatever. That's an illusion. Because even if you wake up the masses, not everybody's gonna just, or even like you're saying, many are called chosen or few. But even of the few chosen, still fewer after they're chosen do what they're supposed to do after they're chosen. Right? We're not even talking about the many called. Forget them.
Yeah.
Chosen few, out of the few, you're still gonna extract some out of the few. That you're gonna say, forget the few even. Let's get the ones who, of the few, are willing to
test. You're gonna be tested
to do something.
Even when you're solid, you're still gonna be tested. See if you're true.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you're kicking up and railing up, us true are you? But you're willing to die like Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's that kind of truth for what it is.
Right.
So how much people are gonna be like that?
No, the Christian them is gonna,
they're gonna
die for Jesus. I know they're ready.
They'll commit themselves to it.
Yeah.
They've already chosen to do that.
Yeah.
That's why they commit themselves to die. They'll kill you for it, for getting in their way. So they've already made their decision. Now you say you're more of, you make your decision.
Yeah.
And hold your ground. That's what they did already. But forget about your children, them, and that and this. It's about you. You can't worry about them. Them is you. And then the you is gonna attract you will attract them who's supposed to come with you. They will be attracted, like Jesus. He leave their footprint, and whoever got the message and felt
They're gonna
it,
follow the footprint.
they followed. Right? He said he left it in Rome with those 3 that walked with him, whatever, you know, the woman that was saved. He left it with her.
Left with the disciples.
Her.
The disciples saw the footprints.
There. So that was only one or 2 people. Right? So look how big Rome, look how big that place was. So this is heavy stuff.
Yeah. It's life though. You know, it when you realize who you is, you really is, it uplift you, it make you like, wow. You know? Yeah. Like, whoop, I'm a horse. Yeah, this I'm supposed to do. Yeah. Oh, Lee, then how come nobody never say this? Because nobody don't want you to know your true
what's
self.
up.
Nobody want to tell you nothing, and I've learned this long time.
It's been said so
long
many
time.
All the schools that we go, it's been said, but it's just that like the Christianity thing block your mind. You can't say it's been said. That's what you go to Harvard to do.
Yeah.
Just to learn about more, the highest from where how much can be.
Yeah.
That's where you go to those high schools to learn about. But it's been hidden from you. You know, disguised in a way, right?
Mm-hmm.
The rebellious ones like us who knew something was wrong, those are the ones they call bad, giving trouble. You knew something was wrong from me.
Yeah.
Because you're questioning. You're questioning. You don't just
start
take it. You don't just swallow
Right.
it. You don't just swallow it.
How come this person?
You start
You
questioning.
look at everything and you're like, they're not whatever, and how come? You start questioning stuff. That's something inside of you already telling you that this can't be right. You know what I mean? Especially when you grow from a place where you see real things happening and you see people telling you stuff that's different from the truth.
Yeah.
When you know for yourself that, you know what, you see a cow have a calf, and you know what it is, and you can go there and pull the milk. This guy's telling me about this thing, and I know for sure, I see it myself. How could you tell me this?
Right.
We made the stuff.
Yeah.
Your grandmother made it. They go pick the stuff. How are you gonna tell me this? You go to the doctor, he's telling you you're not developed. What the hell are you talking about? What does that word mean? Look at you, look at me. I'm a strong man. Your mom made you a cornmeal dumpling. Bacon strong. You're telling me what does that? So they're telling you something, but you're not getting what they're really saying. Right? But because they're trying, you know, the whole thing, all this their system, they're probably right, but you're not seeing it that way.
Yeah.
Right? But they're not telling you because they don't tell you. But then you feel it, right? So that's what it is. To be a Moor is not just, I know I'm a Moor now and that's it. It's just probably something that's already there.
Mm-hmm.
You feel the stuff, man, you know. And then you proceed. Like Donald Trump himself said it. This will stand the test of time. You will stand the test of time. You're going to be tested. Global Drawley told us, you're going to be tested.
Yeah.
Everybody, when you come into this, you're going to be tested. Many ways. You're never going to know which way.
You lose the loved one, you lose all of them.
Yeah, so you talk about your children.
You lose all of these.
The Bible told you, you know, don't call them your children.
Yeah.
You brought them here, but they're not yours. You brought the Bible to say that, not the Quran, the Bible, because I used to read the Bible. It says the children that you made with your wife, and as we learn now, we see that how the Pope set it up.
Yeah.
So we can understand that. But
Yeah.
how you said it, don't call them yours. They're not yours. Don't say, don't make a plan for the next minute. You don't know what the next minute is going to bring. The Bible says all these things. So, but we see that it's been constructed really by the Pope. Even though the Bible said it.
Yeah.
Spiritually, you know that, okay, if you leave today, are they your children? How do you know what's going to happen to them?
Right.
So it's what you do now.
That's gonna.
That's connecting them to whatever they carry on with. It's what you do, right?
Omar, you wanted to do the split up, or just we're good?
Yeah.
All right. So if we have any questions, you can shoot those up right now. We'll deal with that. Do you have any you have anything from the trip? That's it. Oh, you got some stuff back.
Master.
I know this is where we tell them every time we talk. See, we're going here, you know.
Yeah.
She tell me, say, we don't know slave.
Right.
So we don't know where to come from. She tell me, say, we not slave. See this side? See him? Him now come to Jamaica and married to my granny.
Yeah.
You know, can't my granny come to Jamaica?
Right.
You know, can't my granny come to Jamaica as a slave? Them come down, they come married to my granny. And then they come with a woman neither. Pure man come like a farmer can come to Canada. See me they get all of that.
That's how we come to Canada, farmer.
So my grandmother tell me, say, no, we no slave. My grandmother feel me sell and sell him back that.
Through all these picture reports.
Yeah.
Look at this one.
Yeah.
Real thing that, see that?
You love grandma. You love mama.
Got to.
Love her.
Eh? She's like the word to it. She's the word.
When you study someone who feel a connection.
Yeah.
The amalgamation, we call it amalgamation.
Let me go off and go
No, amalgamation is like
No, there's a will for it.
yeah,
It's not reality.
you see, we're going to
we're talking about connection. And so they connect to us. We're family anyway. But
Yeah.
it's right.
Yeah,
Stalking themselves.
Yeah, they know it.
It's not all that.
It's called amalgamation.
Amalgamation.
You hear that word when they run for their politics?
Yeah.
You hear that word?
Yeah.
Amalgamation. We think it's something together, folded and stuff, but it's really the connection to the blood, to the land.
Man,
There's a lot.
They're not connected like that. We are.
Yeah.
Yeah, and usually they go to the woman. Right? It's usually they're meant to the nation.
Yeah.
To the nation, right? Because the woman is the nation.
Chief of this.
We really good, well set up.
Yeah.
It was well planned and orchestrated. It was well planned and orchestrated.
Yeah, they had a plan.
well planned.
Yeah, they knew exactly what they were doing.
They did that.
They knew exactly what they were doing.
Yeah.
The marriage is a control.
Yeah.
Marriage is a control.
Yeah.
Love is one of the greatest.
Yeah.
So you can marry that, it's for need to get married.
Huh?
You can marry that.
Say it?
Like if you need to marry that sister. Yeah, you can marry that.
Yeah, we say obligate though.
You can marry that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Then they have work for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm now with no church. I'm now with
yeah.
now with no- yeah.
That's the whole thing, you know what I mean? Because if we go back to our customs, then we get rid of the middleman. We don't need middleman. Yeah.
In their life, so it doesn't matter how you marry, cultural marriage, don't even in there.
Because that's the issue. The issue is that there's always a middleman in our
There's always
affairs.
a middleman, yeah. And we don't need that
We
middleman.
don't, because majority of the time, that middleman doesn't even look like us.
No.
So why is he even here? Who even called this guy?
Yeah.
Why is he even here? Or are we just going along with something because
They told us.
we're trained
Yeah.
that, you know, this is how it goes.
Yeah. I
Right?
think that's a proper way.
Yeah.
And that's the right way of going about doing things.
Right.
Even our females today, they make our females today become so weak.
Yeah.
That they can't even see the light. And them is the light.
Yeah, they are the light, they can't even see
They
themselves.
can't even.
No, but it's a lot of attacks going on.
Yeah.
So the thing is severe, what you're doing to the thing.
Yeah.
And this
They
is
put
where,
the woman down so
Vanity,
low
money.
that she don't even want to walk the street no
They
more.
take away the male out of it.
Yeah, because today the woman is like,
But it's a war on us, so you gotta attack the woman.
Yeah.
Once they get them,
they gotta go after,
Yeah.
gotta go after the nucleus, gotta kill the cell.
we're just gonna wake them up now, by all standing up, we're not doing anything until they get up.
so it's like no, them come and they grandma they kill her husband and grandma see that.
Yeah.
Grandma say, but wow, they might kill the whole away when they don't do it. And granny tell them, gonna listen to them. See the granny do that, you know. Yeah, because they kill her husband and they kill them and you know, so when you see all these things, you wow.
Right, but then again, you know, after the default, after saying, well, don't do something because they're gonna whatever.
Yeah.
Eventually, she gets sick and tired of being sick and tired, and she say, go do something. Go do something. Forget not do something.
Yeah.
It's time to do something. I know I told you don't do nothing. It's time to do something.
Wow.
You got something?
In Islam, when you pass away and you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, then you don't die. Yeah, you're a martyr.
Yeah.
So it's actually not proper to call the person dead. Or
Yeah.
to say that they died. You say that they're a martyr and that they've been martyred.
Mhm.
Like even in your regular speech. So the thought process of even allowing the fear to exist within you of something happening, you cancel that out because you're martyred, you're gonna get martyred.
Yeah.
If you're doing what you're supposed to do, and then something happens, then you're gonna get martyred. You're not gonna get murdered,
Or killed,
or
assassinated.
assassinated, or anything like that.
Yeah.
So then why you wouldn't run away from it?
Yeah.
You're gonna go
Because
to
you
it.
know it's for,
You're
yeah.
just gonna live your life.
Yeah.
And that has to be the new perspective. We can't be even bringing that old
Yeah.
perspective into like this building, into our community, into our circle. We have to purge that out of fear of death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the whole message the prophets brought was to not fear death. The process.
Yep.
Which is just a transition. Like they begged and they pleaded for us to understand this concept. And then we get into these situations and we talk about, we're talking about broad concepts of nationality and so forth, but we're still carrying that misconception that's higher than nationality.
Yeah.
Higher than that. It's on the same level or the nationality.
Obviously, we understand.
Yeah.
We get old there or whatever, they mess it up.
But we have to keep, but that's why in Islam, right, in certain communities, they don't even allow that. They say, oh, if you say the word dead, they'll correct you. No, don't say that. That person's a martyr, like all those, the shooting in the mosque. If you was to say that to one of them, one of their family, they'll tell you, don't say that. They're martyred.
You're right.
So then the next week when they go to mosque now, they're not switching up anything. They're not. They just go same way.
Yeah, they're not living on a fear.
No.
Yeah. As soon as you go to dead, you're putting the fear,
So it's state of mind.
fear aspect in it.
Yeah.
That's what I was referring to when Brother Heru was leaving, and I told him ministry of death.
Yeah.
Because he's going to a funeral for somebody who passed or whatever, right? So, since coming into this info, the death thing is a totally different place.
Mhm.
So as soon as people start coming to me with oh my gosh, chapter here, I need to read this chapter right here. Actually, you know what? We'll just put it out. Just put it out. Just put it out again.
That's another control thing.
Yeah.
It's like with the fear that you're talking about.
Yeah.
To make you fear something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you were born, you're gonna move on. If you came here, you must gonna leave.
That's a guarantee. That's the one thing you know for sure it's gonna happen one day. You're You don't want to think about it, you know, for
You don't want to think about it, but
But that's the reality.
Right, that's the reality.
you come, you must go.
You must go.
You must
You know what
go.
I mean? So just do what you're supposed to do. So at least when you go, you did what you're supposed to do. You know what I mean?
You're supposed to.
Right. Death and burial of Elizabeth Matheno's lessons, the ministry of death. When John was 12 years old, his mother died, and neighbors laid her body in the tomb among her kindred in the Hebron burying ground and near Zachariah's tomb. And John was deeply grieved. He wept. Matheno said, "It is not well to weep because of death. Death is no enemy of man. It is a friend who, when the work of life is done, just cuts the cord that binds the human boat to earth that it may sail on smoother seas. No language can describe a mother's worth, and yours was tried and true. But she was not called hence until her tasks were done. The cause of death were always for the best, for we are solving problems here, we are solving problems there as well as here, and one is sure to find himself where he can solve his problems best. It is selfishness that makes one wish to call again to earth departed souls. Then let your mother rest in peace. Let her noble life be strengthened and inspiration unto you. A crisis in your life has come, and you must have a clear conception of the work that you are called to do. The sages of the ages call you harbinger. The prophets look to you and say, he is Elijah come again. Your mission here is that of a harbinger, for you will go before the Messiah's face to pave his way and make the people ready to receive their king. This readiness is purity of heart. None but the pure in heart can recognize the king. To teach men to be pure in heart, you must yourself be pure in heart and work in deed. In infancy, the vow for you was made that you become a Nazarite. The razor shall not touch your face nor head. You shall not taste wine nor fiery drinks. Men need a pattern for their lives. They love to follow, not to lead.
True.
That's for all the people who are in the consular court and all that stuff, because they saw Taj's face on there. Men need a pattern for their lives. They love to follow, not to lead. The man who stands upon the corners of the paths and points the way, but does not go, is just a pointer, and a block of wood can do the same.
Sign.
Right? The teacher treads the way. The teacher treads the way. On every span of ground, he leaves his footprints clearly cut, which all can see and be assured that he, the master, went that way. Same thing what you're saying. Men comprehend the inner life by what they see and do. They come to Allah through ceremonies and forms. And so, when they would make men know that sins are washed away by purity in life, a rite symbolic may be introduced. In water, wash the bodies of the people who would turn away from sin and strive for purity in life. This rite of cleansing is a preparation rite, and they who thus are cleansed comprise the temple of purity. And you shall say, you men of Israel, hear, reform and wash, become the sons of purity, and you shall be forgiven. The rite of cleansing and this temple are but symbolic of the soul, which does not come with outward show, but is the temple within. Now, you may never point the way and tell the multitudes to do what you have never done. but you must go before and show the way. You are to teach that men must wash, so you must lead the way. Your body must be washed, symbolic of the cleansing of the soul. John said, why need I wait? May I not go at once and wash? Matheno said, "'Tis well," and they went down to the Jordan ford and east of Jericho, just where the host of Israel crossed. When first they entered Canaan, they tarried for a time. Matheno taught the harbinger, and he explained to him the inner meaning of the cleansing rite and how to wash himself and how to wash the multitude. And in the river Jordan, John was washed. Then they returned into the wilderness. Now, in Endigi's hills, Matheno's work was done, and he and John went down to Egypt. They rested until they reached the temple of Saqqara in the valley of the Nile. For many years, Matheno was a master of this temple of the brotherhood. And when he told about the life of John and his mission to the sons of men, the Hierophant with joy received the harbinger, and he was called the brother Nazarite. For 18 years, John lived and wrought within these temple gates, and here conquered self, became a mastermind, and learned the duties of harbinger. Right, ministry of death. So the waking up, or the getting back to purity is really us, refining our soul and being the living example of manifesting what is pure and true, and your works and your deeds. People being able to see those and say, okay, yeah, that.
So that's the real born again.
Right, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right. The real born again is it's time to, after you do the dunk in the water, now you're supposed to live righteous now. You're not supposed to be going back to the ways of the heathen when you know about the ways of the godly. As soon as you start going back to the ways of the heathen, you're supposed to be reminded of the dunk in the water or whatever. Oh yeah, I'm supposed to be and going back to, but they don't, that's what he was talking about, that men meet Allah through rituals and forms, but then they get caught up in the ritual and the form, not realizing that that's just a block pointing in a direction, and you're the one that has to be the living example of born again.
Live it. There's a part of the Bible too that tell you that as I go through that with my mother, I remember. It said when born, you should cry. And when they die, you should rejoice.
Right. Yeah.
But they do
We do the opposite. We've been doing the opposite from ever since. Now the people who know of these things that will come.
People happy when born.
All the people say don't cry.
And the sense of that is that he finished his good job.
Yeah.
That's what we're supposed to
8 years
do.
old, 90 years, whatever years, you did good. And no, we cry.
Yeah.
It's so great.
Yeah. That's why we have what we have. We had the individual present to us what it is that, we need for not just our salvation, but salvation of the world. And, the adoption of what it is that he brought is, Moors are living proof that that's a real thing or whatever.
Real, nobody can.
Yeah, like whoever else wants to take it, however, that's up to them. But we know that through experience that this is going to mean something, right? One question that came up when I was building with this individual, but we'll put it out there. The idea of when you get into this information, and then what do we do now that we've got this information? Now that we know this, right? So his example was, you find out the information, so you start eliminating things from the life that are contrary to where your mindset is. So one of the things he eliminated was tags on his car or whatever. So now highwaymen will be bothering him every day, all day. All he has is problems with these people, right? One of the metaphors I brought up was, again, going back to sports or whatever expert level that it is, and whatever is being used in that sport, right? Whether it's javelin, track and field, basketball, whatever, right? As a novice, you're not gonna take the things that are relative to the sport as a novice and then go on the court with the all-stars as a novice. As somebody new into this, you're not just, oh, well, you know, Jordan's the best basketball player ever, so all I have to do is put on some Jordans, and then now I can go on the court, and then I'm gonna do all the stuff that he used to do, right? This is the mindset that people have with this information, that they get it, and then, oh, because they got it now, they can apply it to this, and then it's gonna alleviate all their issues they had with this. Because, you know, this is foolproof, and they studied it, and they can trace this information, and it must be credible, because they got all these books on it, and people are out there saying that they're more whatever like that, so okay, we're gonna, but this doesn't work like that. It's like anything else. You have to give it time to become something. Because like brother's saying, it's about the individual receiving it and then doing with it what they're supposed to do for themselves, not doing with it what they're supposed to do because they saw somebody else do something with more nationality. Oh, well, if he did that, so I'm gonna go over here and I'm gonna do that with this. It's not gonna work.
That's one question. That's why I personally, I could, as I said, change over to nationality, status, and everything. But I break them chains and kick off them door naturally as who I am. Without no ID, without no nothing, without this.
Right.
Word of mouth.
That's right.
Yeah.
Word of mouth.
Yeah.
I don't need no ID. I don't
Right.
need the ID. I don't need whatever. And that's it. I don't need none of
Once you know you do.
Yeah.
Right.
Once
Once
you
you know.
it's inside us.
Right.
Locking.
The paper
I'm not kick
just-
off enough door.
Yeah.
Where enough people can go. Well, what if people probably would have said, Rasta when them man, what am I do with them rabbi? What am I do? Yeah?
Yeah.
In there. I know you.
Because they move with the principle.
Yeah, I know you. And you can't trick me. I know you. I know you, rabbi.
Yeah.
Know where they live. All them Russian Jew, them come work for them too. The construction, the landscaping. I'm a professional landscaper. Can come and just, yeah, change the whatever. Landscaping, you can change this. So I mean, that dig up, that build, that lay bricks, that do everything, that do all of them things.
One thing what you demonstrated, I read it in the Holy Quran, it says, don't do nothing in the dark shameful. Because when you're in the public, you can be seen on your face. So what you're demonstrating is just that. Like, you're demonstrating the truth.
The truth.
In the public.
In the
So
public.
whoever's looking at you can see the truth.
Right.
So that's also part of the principle. One of the principles is truth. So you're demonstrating that, whoever's looking at that can see it.
Yeah.
So you don't need the paperwork.
No, I only the truth, like I said, I free.
The truth, you're
It's only the
using,
truth,
and,
we need.
and the people that you're in front of know the principle that you're bringing. You must be coming from a place with it. They know how
I maintain it, how you get it, I know
people
that.
around you from your complexion, and they're not even gravitating. How come this guy know?
Yeah.
So they know you know something, and it's coming from a source.
I tell them I learned at Morris Science Center.
Right. So they know that.
I tell them I learned it just so,
So that,
right here.
As soon as you talk
I
about
didn't know
like that.
that. Up on the side of the road, we tell them the address, we tell them. That's where I learned it.
Yeah.
What do you want me to do?
That's what it is.
it's coming out to your energies. Principle,
Yeah.
balance.
Everywhere I go, white man, Scotland, black man, I say, listen, back up. Back up. Yeah? He said, back up. Who you? Where you say black? Who? Man, listen to me like a Portuguese or wherever you come from. Listen. Yeah. I'm telling you, listen, I'm not like that.
And
Please don't do that.
you could be the ancestors from way back coming up, which they're used to. Probably somebody experienced that before, so it's rising through you.
Yeah.
And then because you're honest and you know everything's coming from inside, it cannot be stopped.
Yeah.
And that's why we probably need more of that.
Yeah. Because that's what I've been doing. I get anything I want in a Babylon.
Right.
I'm not limit myself to nothing. I'm not limit myself to no
And then-
woman,
and
black,
then
white,
you-
Chinese, any
You're one of
woman,
those
any
brave
color.
ones that
I don't
we
give
talk
a
about,
damn.
right? So
That's the reality
you're
boy
one of
I
the brave
like.
ones.
Nah, joke. That's the reality
Right.
boy I like.
So hopefully you don't do nothing too too drastic to, so we can lose you because you're one of the brave ones. You know what I mean? I'm telling you that from listening to you. That I read it that Noble Joy said he's calling for the.
All right, I said Rastaman Jamaica because I'm ex-Jamaica.
Yeah.
When the Rastaman in Jamaica still don't know not certain things.
Yeah.
They still lost and blind.
Some might
Them sing about Jaja
But they were stuck.
and about this. He's real.
They're
What
not
kind of brainwash thing Rastaman do it?
Yeah.
Because that's what I've seen.
Yeah. It's across the
My
board.
own self.
Across the board.
That's how you do a Rasta. Yeah, that's no bad thing. That's the king of Ethiopia. 225th king who come and sit on the throne of Addis Ababa. Yeah, married a woman, the Empress Mene.
Yeah.
God, inshallah, they had children too.
Right.
Not even married a virgin, they married a woman, but pitting already too.
Yeah.
So these things, when you look into these, just say,
Hold on a second.
so the man sure say, even if you're a Rasta, even if you're this, their nationality come first. Who's the eye again? I still ask you, who's the eye? Can I say that is Rasta? Oh, we're Rasta.
Yeah.
He said Selassie, I say, yeah. But Selassie no God thing, I don't have Selassie no God used to say. Because there was follow.
The brother.
Right.
You know what he said?
Following not leading.
Man
Man love to follow.
follow.
Yeah.
Remember the rest of the thing came to Jamaica through suffering. For you. It didn't come through education.
Leonard Howell bring it.
Right, but
Me know
yeah.
everything. Me know everything.
Bob Marley was
Leonard.
he was a guy who really popularized it, but he was already there. But it didn't come through the educated people. So when I went to school and I got my degrees and stuff, I was told your learning starts here. And this degree is not where learning stops. It starts here. So if you're learning Rastafari on the street, there was nobody to tell you that you don't stop at Rasta.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a higher place to go, yeah.
You watch his interviews,
Yeah.
he told you he was searching. He was crying. It didn't come from anybody telling him. He was crying out through the suffering.
Yeah.
And he only see one man who stand up for his people, which if Selassie I knew at that time about telling the truth about Noble Drali, maybe this would have been different.
Yeah.
He said he only see one man stand up for black people. And he didn't see anybody else stand up for us when the time was really bad and they're suffering. That is why he really stick to Selassie, because he didn't see nobody else. Right. If he saw Kodro at that time, he would have been
That would have been what, yeah.
If he saw any one of us more, he would have been one of us, because we're standing up for our people.
Yeah. The thing with
That's
Marcus,
why.
Marcus did leave.
Right.
That's why we never get full history of Marcus.
Right.
Marcus did leave.
So even then, when we look at those people,
All right, sister.
they were stuck
All right.
at a place, right? And there was nobody else to guide them, to show them that there's more. Well, you know what I mean? That's why maybe Bob Marley be taken away, because the knowledge was still, people were still seeking, like yourself now.
Yeah.
And then he can't be the one, he can't go no more because nobody's told him anything else. There's no anything else. So his work stopped.
Right.
So now you're here now, the Rastaman, Kodro is there, the Rastaman, he's there, the Rastaman. Trying to carry on now. What these people was trying to look for is still the same energy.
I was missing. Yeah.
Now that we have double
This is the
draw.
missing link.
Right, now
This
double
is like the
draw.
missing link
So
for
it's for you now.
Yeah.
Because we don't know what's else.
Right.
This is the
So
missing link.
your two children now, those Rastaman down there, that's lost. That's what your children. That's what your energy is for, to go down there now and prophesy to them.
Yeah.
Taking off from what that work that Bob Marley was trying to so hard to do that he didn't even know what to do anymore.
That's how we know. Yeah, that's how we're relating to what was he in again? He was a comedic brother or whatever. That was on, he's on our info, but he's on comedic teachings or whatever. You know what I mean? And that being that's your people, the comedic, ancient Egyptian, whatever people, you're the one, you're the forerunner.
Yeah.
You're the harbinger.
Yeah.
For those people called Rastafarian or, ancient Egyptian or Hebrew Israelite or whatever like that, to bring them into the thing, because you're coming from their path. You're coming from walking the same walk that they walk. So if they listen to anybody, they should listen. They should listen to you, because you're walking that same path that they're walking. And then now, when you go bring it to them and they don't want to hear it, then now you know that how bad the stuff is. You know what I mean? And then you make your decision on whether, because that was like one of the things with me coming into this info, that was part of the whole thing too. That now, if I got this info and I know all this, Like I gotta try to reach out to the school of thought that I came out of. When you go to them people, you realize they don't want freedom or whatever. They love servitude.
Sure.
They're content being, you know, they only need the Bible, and Selassie is the only whatever, and you know, only the Torah, and only the and they're not going outside.
But
Limited.
the brainwash is severe.
Yeah.
They don't be from the Christian with Jesus, so the brainwash is so
Yeah.
believable and so
Yeah, their
severe.
superior might be worse.
It's not them.
Their thing might be worse.
Whatever they think is so powerful, right?
Yeah. Got
So
some
powerful,
serious
and they
rituals.
give them the stuff to hold them, right? They give them the sweets to keep them, you know, not wanting anything else.
Yeah.
Right? You go back to your Bible, you say the devil was tempting Jesus. Look at all the stuff. That's what the people have. Jesus, they have the stuff for now, right? It's sweet to them.
Yeah.
You know, the whole clapping and this and taking this stuff and having the parties and
Singing
the whole thing is good.
Yeah.
It's good, you know. We gotta.
What is when the people instead of getting a spirit? Now this one try for all this. I'm getting a spirit and then drop on the ground. And what is that? You said it's a commander.
With the Gnosticism?
Yeah, because look at that now.
Yeah.
People in the church. I'm not getting a spirit. So-called getting a spirit.
Yeah.
And what kind of energy is that?
No, if you look at it like,
Energy. What is
if
that?
we look at it from
What is that?
just what's happening, right? If we look at it just what's happening, forget, you know, how it's taken or whatever. But, you know, that's invocation. The man puts the energy out there, and then whoever's on the frequency would pick up on what's being put out there. You know what I mean? No different than the yogi, whatever, is gonna have the singing bowl and then everybody's gonna, they know that that's meditation time, so they shut the hell up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, the thing that's messed up is that when you have, you know, the man going around and then people are flying back into the thing, and then everybody's doing the wave or whatever.
Wow.
You know that they're you know, because we've been in the place, and then how come we not getting it?
Yeah.
How come it's not jumping
Because I ask
into me?
myself these things.
Never. I seen that happen ample amounts of times in church. Never, ever, no spirit jumping into me in church.
My mother is Jehovah's Witness.
Yeah.
But my two grandmothers, one is the Rockhead, and one is the Anglican.
Mhm.
And then I go in I like the drums, so I like to go. And I would at the window and even go in, because I said I want to feel the spirit too. And then somebody say you have to come up an altar. And when I get go, catch me. I go because I want to know what's going on. I go there and I can't feel it yet.
I was reading that book, Black Dad, and he's telling about the different frequencies, like the word, the instruments. So if like what they do now with the music is they change their frequency.
The hertz,
So when you have a bass, a real drum knocking into a bass, it can actually bring your heart to real love.
Heartbeat.
Right?
Wow.
You're gonna dance with
Yes.
You take that drum out and put it at a higher note, start going crazy.
Yeah.
Kind of drinks.
So I control with it.
So as the bass come out of the music, you're gonna start going somewhere different. Violent and
Even if I can't play the music, just turn it up a little bit louder. Different zone. Different zone. Different zone.
So it's in the church. They know to about this thing and people drop down and bump you.
Nowadays they start with reggae, Christian song now.
Yeah.
When me asked the church leader, one lady me asked a few years ago, well, how come they make the reggae music in a church now? They said it attract the young people. I said, oh, nothing for the God, anything.
God's not calling it. God's not
It's
calling it.
bringing customers.
When I was sitting here waiting for you guys today, church right there.
Yeah.
The woman in the glass dancing in green.
Where, the one right here?
Yeah,
Next
she
door?
saw me with that.
Yeah.
And I put up, and I kind of looking up for you guys. She's just in the window, Sometimes, you know, I'm thinking, why is this one dancing looking at me? So, you know, she's looking at me, she's dancing.
Yeah.
Up until the very time I came onto the conference and walking on it, and when I walked, I'm looking at her, she turned her head.
Yeah.
But she was always, she was
in it.
looking at me, I'm looking for you guys.
The spirit at it.
Distraction.
She's not tracking, but she's probably wondering, you know, this guy's probably the last, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
She's trying to watch me in.
Yeah.
She's a woman, so.
Yeah. She got it next.
I think to myself, oh, she's dancing in the church like that.
That's
You know
good.
what I mean? I'm just wondering, every time I look, she look up my way.
So she just needed a pull.
Yeah. But that's lucky. When I pass, I'm gonna look in there. I'm gonna stop him because it's still in the window. If you guys
Yeah.
The woman in the green.
Yeah.
It's still in the window working and looking at me.
You know she always has the fez hats though.
I know you don't know.
Yeah. She always has the.
Yeah, she has a wrap on her head.
Yeah, but she has the big brim. She has the wavy brim. But everything is.
Yeah. When I pass, I'm stopping there. She look away.
Yeah.
That's you know what I mean. So it's the forest. You know what I mean? But and then this is what I read in the Quran. This is supposed to attract the woman.
Mm.
We're the sons trying to wake them up with this. This is
The light.
This is the rule. So there's a connection between me and her when she look at this.
Yeah.
I'm the son. I'm her son. She knows she's in a place of lost, maybe whatever spirit is there holding her. But this, for some reason, is more powerful than what's going on.
Yeah.
I don't know why she's not in the body of the thing looking at me. She's in the window looking at me.
Yeah. She might be.
And she never stopped until I came home. She's still looking. I'm thinking, why don't she go do her thing? Get in here with them.
Yeah.
Out there looking at me, like being the extra, looking up there and
like the stretching look.
yeah, man, the hips too. You know, I don't know if you guys saw it.
I saw her.
I said, I was quite uncomfortable. Why she looking at me? But I realized, me trying to this. And the thing told you, the Quran told you that, you know, wake up the mothers, this is going to be a part of it. As long as we're wearing this, something's going to generate something. Something has to.
Like magnet to stay right.
We don't know when it's going to happen, but once we decide to wear this, your job is just to wear this. To make one of some of them, you know, start. And I know she felt something.
Yeah.
I'm not attractive to her. There's nothing about me that.
Yeah.
Maybe it's
Must be some energy.
You want to tell us something? You want to?
Must be.
No, I know.
When the first time I see the island.
No doubt in your mind.
This is when the first time I see the island, and I never know no more than one of them look different. Look like that. In my mind.
Yeah.
What is like that? They're different from my own. Yeah. You used to ask these questions.
Yeah, energy.
Yeah, so I said, oh my God, you need to know about it, my prayer. Come here, always to the island, you know. For years. Not now. It's not till yesterday or last 10 years. Long time. From creation. From my creation, right? So when I see the island, I said, but how come when I have a whole heap of people like the island? But then when I see documentary other countries and I see the people, Mr. Them, don't know the people about this.
Never seen it before.
Never see this.
Yeah.
Then it's only we one get tricked.
Yeah.
While the rest of them over here,
everybody else knows.
not everybody. And from ancient days, the movies then.
Yeah.
They're still mind of the fence.
It's not strict, you got scripted.
You know, yeah.
You look for a movie,
Yeah.
This is a movie. You got word scripted.
Yeah, I get, yeah. Yeah,
so. The Bible is that.
Yeah.
That manual.
Yeah.
Following the script.
Yeah. So when the say island, you know, I said, what a brainwash, man.
Yeah.
And then say, we were next side of the world, you know, we used to the real line for them like that, them. I said, what them like them? See him.
I don't know who was in the chat. You have the pictures?
Yeah,
just to show these man because I want to get the thing too. The tag. The more tag. Yeah, the more tag had an address for a place.
Yeah.
You want to check?
We
want to check to see. Yeah, we want to call them up and see. You found a thing? You found a site for it or something?
No, I never Googled.
Okay.
Google address.
Yeah.
I want to mention something about this whole this whole, what's the name? Nestle also.
Oh, Nipsey,
And
yeah.
Donald Trump, right?
Yeah.
From what I know from a long time that, the real Donald Trump never was in the White House. He actually made a duplicate of himself.
Impossible.
And this whole King Arthur plan, right? They've been trying it a long time to stir a race war. So with this guy,
Yeah.
he's already chosen to go away, something that he chose.
Yeah.
Right, with their cult history, but it's actually, he was actually trying to put up here a black nationalist to stir some kind of war so the army can come on, right? But they don't have a way to do it. Right? Like what he was saying about, like he was saying about the unity of the gang, so that's kind of like, we call it now, neutralize it.
Yeah.
So now they're gonna have I heard from a good source that they're gonna actually assassinate this Donald Trump, but it's gonna be a fake one. And when this assassination happens, it's gonna be from a black nationalist. And that's what people come on the street now and start saying it's black nationalism.
I believe you, because I watch a movie, and in the movie, it said, when the man met the deal, like if I said, you're vice president, can we go ahead and do it? So someone said to me, they kill him. Assassinate him. Just say, they were going to assassinate him. And then now, so you just don't hear this now.
Sorry. In the next year.
We're gonna address for the thing that says the
Yeah.
777 Warden Avenue.
Oh, wow.
Alright. Keep an eye out for that. Keep an eye out for that. So, our people
777?
shouldn't be overreacting and going down the street at these times. Our people start going on the street.
So going out with black and thing is wrong. Wrong. That's not good. I shoot with them.
It's gonna be a thing that's they're gonna say, oh, black guy killed a white person. And that's how the hatred is supposed to start, and then people supposed to go on there.
I start back, this racist thing black against
So they're
white.
trying very hard.
I try, yeah.
Like our people, the vibration is not going with what they're planning.
No.
And that's what's screwing them.
Our eyes are open.
Right.
Eyes open.
So even one of us can magnify a thousand.
Yeah.
One of us. And that's the power that they don't have. The power that we have. Our minds are magnified than theirs. So if we think good, we're trying to even the people that, like I said, the woman looking at it. They know that they can't be anything bad about it.
No. Because when I just see it, I said, it can't be nothing bad.
Yeah.
You must be good at the mind, the most wiser than me and know what God.
Know what's up. Yeah.
Yes, so
They have to know.
always
They have to know. Yeah.
Something.
They have to know.
And it was never bad when I think about seeing the face. I said, I love to be one of them. Not knowing that I am. Is it again? Not knowing that not knowing that I'm supposed to walk the same. Yeah. Or rap. Yeah. This is by law. The rap, the feds, and the rabbi in the backside. The rabbi, they make sure leader. They make sure
Yeah, I don't think it's there no more.
Yeah, it seems to me like.
Yeah, nothing's out there anymore.
For the address?
Yeah. Unless it maybe they're not saying something.
The t-shirts, I'm not black.
Yeah.
Now, whenever I wear my t-shirt, I have to be the wood, right?
Yeah.
So I need some t-shirts.
Well, that's the
I
thing.
can put some money
From Trevor.
They could make some more
That's
t-shirts because I need.
Yeah.
Trevor came by.
Yeah.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, amazing. I walked outside and he was standing across the street. He says, I walked across the street and he says, what's your name?
Any other questions or anything like that?
And then he
Any other-
shake my hand.
any other things on your mind?
He goes, I'm Trevor. I said, what? And then we had
I was gonna ask about this.
Like, the cops are just going to
Yeah.
your place.
This is Chris, you're talking about Christ and stuff.
Who's
Yeah.
inside here?
This Chris and I
And
am
he
Christ.
tried to get Kudu this huge came up.
Cresses.
Or Christ and
You know,
I.
obviously there's still like, you know, supposedly he was down here going to
Crest would be like the same thing as Christ.
after this, whatever he
Makes sense.
whatever he-
Crest is Christ.
like Cujo was saying.
But it's really the I am.
So.
It's not some next thing, it's actually self.
Yeah. That's how Islam come in
So
now,
they have
right?
just like with Islam, and they have you looking at Muhammad or whatever, but Islam is really high. It's really high. You know what I mean? It's not something more, it's not a third party or whatever like that. I think it's directly relating to ourselves. You know?
If you're talking to somebody and they don't listen, you go study it more. That means.
Yeah. You just study more.
It's not to them.
Yeah.
So I'll go back to your study. But if you're talking to somebody that's causing an argument or emotional, then they're not at your level.
Yeah.
You know, they want to know.
I'm trying out the only kind of Rastaman. So Rastaman, black side. Bullshit.
They don't know. But here doesn't make it.
No,
like Martin
bullshit. It's like the man them so lost. You know I know. So lost. It's like, come on. Few of them 1 and 2 people, like, you know, and them a listen and give a hear. But the rest, as more turn back, and stop more in the back.
And they
chat about mad people, I'm this, I'm that, I'm
Yeah.
this, I'm that, I'm that, I'm that.
Yeah.
And they look at Islam as wicked.
And look at Islam. Yes.
Look at Islam as wicked.
Most women today and try to look at
The
Islam.
Rastaman are not.
And Rastaman. Right?
They don't really get the full knowledge of
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah.
They're looking at it as what they see on the TV with the wars.
Yeah.
They're connected to that.
Yeah.
So
them say Muslim as bad.
right. They don't really.
It's like the woman them today, if they say, oh man, I am Islam.
12.
Yeah.
She said, but Muslim thing, I'm not Muslim. I don't like that. I don't like this. I don't like that. And you can't stay in the house. So you can't. Hey.
Yeah,
Crazy. Crazy people. They're so brainwashed, they turn against you. So brainwashed, they turn against you.
Well, and this is the conversation I want to have, but I don't think, because Moko was asking, did anyone else show up? And I said, she said, even an email that you put out, right? Or one was put out, so, I mean, I don't know what's been going on, it feels like there's been a little bit of a, concern about, or at least, maybe, you know,
Yes, the weather's getting warmer.
Yeah, you know.
As long as you're here, it's okay.
Don't worry about it.
We're both people that
Look
come.
at children.
We're both stuff.
Any other questions, comments? So nothing from the trip, yeah?
Not really,
Everything was easy.
I see, from what I see, there's a lot of people out there that they get the idea about the more stuff and stuff. Like even I see a couple people with the gene compass ring and stuff, I'll ask them, they know the meaning of it and stuff.
You got to connect with the Moors out there?
No, I didn't get to bring the stuff.
And that's the first ring me ever have in my life.
Yeah.
That's the first ring me ever. I had 2 trading.
Yeah.
Last 2 trading. Give one, next Rasta Bridge in Toya one. I'm prefect of Jamaica. I'm 17, 16, 17. I never know.
For
Never
real.
know nothing. And then they part with them because they don't want to get old and say, yeah, Muslim, nonsense.
Give away your birthright.
Nonsense. I'm from a little man, one. I still got my picture right now. Not the first look at you.
So the crescent
Which
star?
I come from, I have a ring like that.
The crescent and star one, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a Muslim guy, you know. It's a little Muslim, but that time nobody never deal with the man, you know. God must say, I'm Muslim. Look over there, say, man, I tell you that, and I say, listen, Rasta. Father, Rasta.
Deal with it.
Muslim thing. They tell me, that's how they use that. But we never go over everything, because I mean, if nobody don't tell you, then you don't know.
Right.
You know? But that's the first ring I ever wear on my finger. And it's my little finger, the first ring I've never had in my life. I never know. In so much years, you know. I wear the ring every day, but not know. And that's how they have that illusion, like it's, it's they believe, but they created matrix. Yeah, it's matrix that they created, and we're living like that. And a sad state. So as you said, when are we gonna people rewash the brainwash? And that's why we come to more science table for the rewash the brainwash, kick out the brainwash, kick out the lies. And that's what you have to do. More science table teach you what we really is and who we're supposed to be. And not what them I tell you we is, and so this black thing, it will get out of hand.
Out of hand already.
Out of get out of hand. I'm gonna say get out of hand. It will really get out of hand.
Well, if you want whatever you are to be, you're that. Even if something was put onto you, can't change. You'll filter the stuff out. If the information is coming to you, you'll feel it, and whatever you adopted will filter out anyway. If you're supposed to be something, you can't change. If you're born to be something or do something, you can't change from that. Until you die, you can't change from that. So if the information come, it's gonna come to you, you'll know. So whatever was in your way, you'll learn on the way will filter out. And the stuff that's what maybe the born again is. It will filter out, and then new stuff will come in, and you start doing what you're supposed to do anyway until you die. Whatever it is. If you were already seeking something, and something was already in you looking, searching for that thing, the very Bible tells you, seek, you're gonna find it.
That's some people who I got my
The Bible tells you, seek with all your heart and you will find it. The Bible tells you, and there's a force there. There's a force there that's reminding you, keep seeking and don't stop. And when you find it, do it with all your heart. But whatever you're looking for, your truth, whatever you think you're looking for, when you find it, do it with all of your heart, all of your might. As a matter of fact, the thing says, all of your might, not even your heart. It says, when you find your truth that you're looking for, from the very red Bible there, because I used to read it a lot too. I never let them baptize me because I always thought that was something wrong with that whole baptizing thing. It's something like throw me under that and bring it back up.
Hopefully bring you back.
You know what? You know the most thing, when you know it's wrong and you still do it.
No,
that's a hell of a thing.
I'm saying
when you know it's not right,
personally,
but you still do it.
I feel like somebody putting you down and bringing you back up. It didn't work right anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because it's never right.
When people baptize, I notice people cry. It wasn't a happy situation. And if you're going to Christ and you're going to some happy place, why are people looking on? Why are they crying? Why are they crying? Right? You're going into a happy place.
What you got there, North?
Transform it.
Like when you die,
Should that be a choice? You're going to different baptized if you notice. The crowd, they crying. There is always a sad situation. It's not ever happy. Nobody happy and no sad. I asked my mom that. Why when you get to baptize somebody, people are so sad?
Yeah.
And that's spiritual.
That's supposed to be the waking up and you're sad.
You're supposed to be happy and wow, man, look at this. Why are you guys looking so sad? You know what I mean? I was observing. I'm a very good observer of people. I watch what you say something is good. I'm looking at you. How come you're not enjoying it? Right? And then why are you telling me if you're supporting something so good? You're coming from church. How come you're miserable? Why you're not happy? You should be attracting me with your happiness. So I can want to come with you. Why are you so sad? Right?
Places are available where you
know,
but even though
the brainwashing is severe. It's not like stuff. Severe. It's very, very.
Every day, man.
What could have put up on there? What could have put up on there with that nice council thing? Think about all the time that they had and the mind that they had to orchestrate and put together just to brainwash the people.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of time that they had to put something together, put it in. So like, you know, I need to inject the brain and the subconscious. So it wasn't something that they planned this.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Took years.
And they planned it in everything. The food, the music, the very atmosphere they did.
Yeah.
There's a lot more. Let us close out.
What is that on Saturday?
Huh?
What is that Saturday coming?
Oh yeah, so you talked to your dad about it.
Saturday?
The Divinity group? Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But
and then this 27th we have the
Oh,
The clean up the community day. I think it's on there. Yeah, 27th, 11, we do our little cleanup and then we have our food after. Our 5 principals catering after.
I guess where I think we should like start like when it's warmer, and start doing like some outreach stuff.
Yeah, well, we're planning on doing
Like,
some outside.
going door to door.
Yeah, planning on doing some outside stuff this year.
Yeah, I need to get to the people Amsterdam.
I think personally, like John at Dundas and Young, you saw the brothers that usually are blocked in Cujo, the brothers that stand up blocked in from Young and Dundas, and they stand in the north corner and they're preaching God. Remember?
Yeah.
The times there's a specific, those specific guys there, but I just think that, like we had sort of talked about, where it's sort of like, I don't know whether we don't do ourselves a disservice by sort of standing on the corner there.
No, remember we were talking about different places instead of doing downtown or whatever, going somewhere else and doing outreach. You know
I
what I mean?
definitely think that there's something there to that can be a component of it, but I sort of feel like Cujo's position has been we just need to keep getting the numbers in to keep filtering out the people that wanna that hopefully gravitate towards this. My feeling is sort of we gotta take the numbers that we have that are good and start, and not to say that one of them is, what do you call it? One of them is, it's either one or the other.
Shake the bottle.
Huh?
Shake the bottle.
But I feel like we Moors that are here need to come together. Some of us have already been doing that, but there has to be a commitment. There has to be a structured timeline. There has to be goal-specific activity that we decide that we want to carry on with.
Yeah, so some of that stuff was like, meeting up, going to
City Hall.
ROM, going to City Hall, going to the consulates or whatever. Us putting out, for example, a notice and then giving the notice personally to Mars to go deliver in whatever jurisdiction they're in.
Yeah.
Just go talk to the superintendent, whoever, drop them a writ. You know what I mean? That we've all, signed on to or whatever like that. Just things to get the activity going. And for the people who have been here to be doing more than just come to class. Because, the people who've been here over 2 years are probably at that stage of wanting to get some stuff done. Opposed to we just come to class and we sit down and we build, or we come to the temple and we build and we see the Moors and then we go about whatever, and then we come back and we build and then that's it. Let's make the building go toward something happening outside of the building.
Yes.
But part of the issue is, and we can see this for Noor, you've been here, and so you, that if we can't get, this is sort of like work. We have 10 people that are supposed to be at work, and then every week, 5 people aren't showing up, or 8 people aren't showing up. I don't know, and I don't know how do we, as the Moors that have been here for a bit, call these people up, but call, what I mean by call them up, but like sort of call attention to the fact that, but I mean, part of me thinks that maybe they don't really see a value in what's happening here anymore from that perspective. So part of me thinks that, as I said, and that's what we're talking about, splitting the class up. Because let's say those 2 sisters that came here today, this could have been more of a class for them, right? I think they were newer, but yeah, I don't know. I think we just have to continue to keep examining this and keep moving forward. Because part of me thinks that 90% of the people that come in here end up they get what they want, and then and then they're gone. And I think we're doing ourselves, and it's sort of weird. The catch for most of these people is, oh, you can get this, you can get this, you can get this. But then But, and I think maybe that sort of sets up our arguments to go through before, like if we were in here just doing Quran classes, maybe that would change the energy, because we would be coming in on a spiritual thing. I think maybe we'd get less people though too. Right? Though the church is kind of full too, but I mean, I don't know. Anyways, something to think about because I don't know how we're, and that's why I say, I don't know how we're going to become a nation. If, like I said,
But remember, it's not about becoming.
No,
It's already that.
Sorry, it was a lot. It was the wrong language. But what I meant by that, I don't know how we are going to
manifest certain things
to manifest certain
without
levels of national activity
without the national.
Manifesting that certain level of activity, which is like, we had a vernal equinox day. 6 people showed up. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, but those are probably supposed to be the 6.
But I agree. But I mean, I'm just saying that we've been doing a little studying, some of us on the side, and part of what some of the mandates or some of the qualifications are to being a nation is there sort of has to be a certain level of people.
Unity.
No, but what they're actually trying to say is to be a nation, 3 people can be a nation, but it's not really a nation. They're trying to say from the perspective that, a nation would comprise of thousands of people, right? With having sort of a regional area. You have one person as a nation, but I think what they're implying and looking for is a nation that represents and reflects a certain body politic. And it seems to.
And I just think that body politic is based on the actions of whoever's doing it. They're not looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're just looking at is the activity happening? Do they have the things that make them, a nation? Okay, well, if 5 things, if there's 5 things that need to be a nation, and we have 4 of those things, then we're on our way there. We might not be at it in its full capacity, but it's
okay. So, but here's how I'll counter that. So, and I just came to you now. Let's say we have a nation of it, and it's only like the no drug media picture, 60 people. Well, then there should be 60 people out for the vernal equinox. There should be 60 people out, maybe not for every cause.
That even goes back to when they said, maniac call. It goes back to that. So there's a lot of ways to look at why it's like that.
Well, I'm saying, but of course, you can look at it that way, but I'm looking at it at my way, that ultimately, it's like this. Maybe you don't have to show up to the practices, but game time, you better show up.
No, good.
No,
I hear that. I hear you.
I'm just putting out a position. A position being that if we can get 80 people out for a barbecue, we should be able to have 80 people
in class too
for whatever.
For class or for whatever else is going on.
And I'm not saying it has to be every day or something. To me, it just feels like
the consistency has to be.
It's part of the toxicity that is involved in what's happened to us. Right? I'm sure all 80 of these people watching NCAA.
True. That's true. The sugar is more attractive.
But I think that's part of where our issue as a nation, looking to counter the redress of the issues that are against us, if we don't have a force, then really, if there's only 6 of us, then on their side, then I think it makes it much easier for them to counter that. If we walk down the street with 10,000 people, they got an issue.
But it might also be a thing where we walk down the street with 6 and they just leave you alone because it's only 6 of you. You don't gotta worry about it. Oh, hold on, before you go, you want to close out before you?
No, I was just going across the street.
Yeah, let's do that right now before you. Peace and love to all Moors, Islam.
What do you say? No?
Father on the left, 2 on the right. Allah, the Father of the universe.
Allah, Father of the universe.
Father of love. Father of truth. Peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation. By night and by day, His only prophet, no withdrawal. That's it.
What were you saying?
He powers and he'll power. Yeah, more powerful. Yeah, man.
Well,
We're
I think-
gonna leave that then. This
Yeah,
year.
man.
We're gonna leave for the round because, but I'm still in one.
Well, I don't want to hear it again now. Okay, so it's been through that, we have so many.
Yeah, well, okay.
Yeah, some of the routine bricks.
Right.
Yeah, the
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
No?
I'm gonna make yards.
Right. Yeah, those type of stuff there. Yeah. Actually, you have to talk with Mocha, Mama Mocha, because they're working with trying to get a lot for the garden.
Yeah, I yesterday I'm gonna clean up my garden.
Really? Yeah.
Yesterday I'm gonna use ore.
Yeah. Get it there. Ready.
Yeah.
Ready.
Yeah, yesterday I'm gonna do that. Yesterday I'm gonna do it. Yeah, man, yesterday I'm gonna do that. Yeah, man. But now I leave out there because it's telling the truth.